I've got you!
The gun was already pressed against the
Thank
little
you.
girl's head when Marcus Dawson heard her scream. He'd been in Redwood Shores for exactly 48 hours, trying to forget the sound of children crying, trying to outrun the nightmares that followed him home from Kandahar. But there it was again,
You can't fight
that
them
high,
alone.
terrified sound that turned his blood to ice. Through the rain-soaked trees, he saw them. 3 men surrounding a woman on her porch, and the smallest one, the one with dead eyes, had just struck her across the face. Her daughter was screaming, and Titan, his 90-pound Malinois, was already moving. Before we continue, tell us in the comments what city you're watching from. We love seeing how far these
This was
stories
my
of
husband's
courage travel.
He died
And
for
please
it.
subscribe to this channel and stay with us until the very end. This story needs to be heard. This message needs to be shared. Marcus didn't give the command yet. He was still calculating distance angles threat assessment. 3 men. 2 had the build of steroid users, all bulk and no discipline. The third, the one who'd struck the woman, was different. Lean, controlled, dangerous. "I said sign the papers, Mrs. Reyes." The lean one's voice carried on the wind. "Mr. Crane doesn't like waiting. Get off my property." The woman's voice shook, but she didn't back down. She was positioning herself between the men and her daughter. A little girl, maybe 8 years old, clutching a stuffed dolphin. Her eyes wide with terror. "Your property." The lean one laughed. "Lady, you're squatting on Mr. Crane's future. You're just too stupid to know it yet." Marcus moved forward, Titan matching his pace perfectly. No sound, no wasted movement. They'd done this dance 100 times in places where hesitation meant death. "Mommy, please just sign it," the little girl sobbed. "Please." "Sophia, baby, go inside." The lean one grabbed the woman by her hair. "Maybe your kid's smarter than you." That's when Marcus spoke. Just one word, but he put a lifetime of command into it. "Enough." All 3 men turned. The lean one kept his grip on the woman's hair, but his eyes narrowed, sizing Marcus up. 6'2", broad shoulders, moving with the kind of calm that came from knowing exactly how dangerous you were. "Who the hell are you?" Bulk number 1 took a step forward. "The guy telling you to leave." Marcus stopped 20 feet away. Titan sat at his side, perfectly still, but every muscle in the dog's body was coiled. "You've got 10 seconds. The lean one released the woman with a shove. She stumbled, catching herself on the porch railing. "This is private business, friend. Keep walking." 5 seconds. "You don't know who you're messing with," Bulk number 2 said. "Mr. Crane owns the sheriff. He owns the mayor. He owns this whole damn town." 3 seconds. The lean one's hand moved toward his waistband. Marcus saw it. Titan saw it. The woman saw it and screamed, "Sophia, run!" Marcus didn't draw his weapon. He didn't need to. He gave the command in German, one word. "Fass." Titan exploded forward like he'd been shot from a cannon. Bulk number 1 never saw him coming. 90 pounds of Belgian Malinois hit him center-mass, jaws clamping on his forearm before the man could even raise his hands. The scream was immediate, primal, terrified. Marcus closed the distance to Bulk number 2 in 3 strides. The man swung wild, telegraphing his punch like an amateur. Marcus caught the arm, hyperextended the elbow with a sharp twist, and used the man's own momentum to drive him face first into the porch railing. The crack of cartilage was audible. The man went down, blood pouring from his shattered nose. The lean one had his gun out now, a Glock 19, probably never fired outside a range. He was backing toward a black SUV parked in the driveway, the weapon shaking in his hands. "Call him off. Call the dog off, or I swear." "You swear what?" Marcus's voice was dead calm. "You going to shoot a service animal? You want to add that to today's charges?" "Charges." The lean one laughed, but there was panic in it now. "There won't be any charges. We're private security for Tidewater Industries. We had every right." "You assaulted a woman in her home, in front of her child." Marcus took another step forward. You put your hands on a widow trying to protect her daughter. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to drop that weapon. You're going to load your friends into that SUV, and you're going to leave. Mr. Crane will... Your boss can take it up with me, personally. Marcus tilted his head slightly. Or you can try using that Glock. But I promise you the dog's faster than you are, and me. He smiled, but there was nothing warm in it. I'm faster than both of you. The lean one's hand trembled. For 5 long seconds, nobody moved. Then he dropped the gun. Titan. Boss. The dog released immediately, backing away from bulk number 1, but never taking his eyes off the threat. The man was cradling his shredded arm, whimpering. The lean one dragged his associates toward the SUV. You have no idea what you just did. Mr. Crane doesn't forget. Tidewater doesn't forget. Good, Marcus said. I'm at the Ocean View cabin. Tell him where to find me. The SUV peeled out, spitting gravel and mud. Marcus turned to find the woman staring at him. She was maybe 35. Dark hair pulled back in a ponytail, eyes that were defiant, even with tears streaming down her face. Her daughter was pressed against her side, the stuffed dolphin clutched tight. Are you all right? Marcus asked. Who are you? Her voice was steady, despite the tremor in her hands. Marcus Dawson. I'm renting the cabin down the road. He gestured to Titan. This is Titan. He's friendly. Usually. The little girl peeked out from behind her mother. He saved us. Sophia, stay back. But the child was already moving forward, fearless in that way only kids could be. She walked right up to Titan and gently touched his head. Thank you for saving my mommy. Titan's tail wagged once. He licked her hand. Marcus watched the woman's face transform from fear to wonder to something that looked like the moment before breaking. I'm Elena Reyes, she said quietly. This is my daughter Sophia. And I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't. Let's get you inside. You're going to need ice for that bruise. And then you're going to tell me why Tidewater Industries thinks they can terrorize a widow and her kid. Inside Elena's home, Marcus worked with practiced efficiency. He'd been a Navy corpsman before he'd become a SEAL. He knew how to treat injuries, how to spot the signs of shock, how to keep people talking when their minds wanted to shut down. He pressed a cold pack gently against Elena's cheekbone. She winced, but didn't pull away. This Crane, Marcus said. How long's he been hassling you? 6 months. Elena's voice was tight. Since my husband died. Sophia was on the floor with Titan the dog lying perfectly still while the little girl examined his collar with fascination. Marcus noticed how Elena's eyes kept darting to her daughter, checking, always checking. Your husband, what happened to him? Elena's jaw tightened. Everyone says it was an accident. He was a marine biologist. He dove these waters every day for 12 years. They said he got disoriented, ran out of air, drowned. She looked directly at Marcus. Miguel didn't make mistakes underwater, ever. But you can't prove it wasn't an accident. No, Sheriff Navarro tried. She pushed for an investigation. Then suddenly the county decided there wasn't budget for it. Medical examiner ruled it accidental drowning. Case closed. And Crane showed up when? 3 weeks after the funeral. Elena's voice went flat. Said Tidewater Industries wanted to buy this property for a marine resort. Offered me half what it's worth. When I said no, the offer went down. Then the pressure started. Building inspectors, health department. CPS showed up last month asking if Sophia was safe here. Marcus felt the familiar cold anger settling in his gut. He'd seen this before in Afghan villages where warlords wanted land, in Syrian towns where militias wanted control. Different continents, same tactics. Find the vulnerable, apply pressure, break them. Why this property? He asked. What makes it worth this much trouble? Elena hesitated. She glanced at Sophia, who was whispering secrets into Titan's ear. Then she stood. Come here, I need to show you something. She led him through the house to a small office. The walls were covered with maps, charts, photographs of marine life. A large topographical map dominated one wall, marked with notes in precise handwriting. Miguel spent 3 years mapping the coastal geology, Elena said. This property, this exact location, sits above a natural phenomenon. See this? She pointed to the map. The cliff face drops straight down, 90 feet of sheer rock. But underwater, there's a network of sea caves. They're deep, protected from surface detection, and they connect to an underground channel that runs inland for almost half a mile. Marcus studied the map. Understanding dawned cold and certain. Submarine access. Miguel called it the perfect natural harbor, invisible from the sea, invisible from land. A boat could come right up to the caves, unload cargo, disappear. No radar signature, no satellite detection. She turned to face him. 2 weeks before he died, Miguel told me he'd seen lights in the water at night, boats with no running lights. He said he was going to report it to the Coast Guard. And then he drowned. And then Tidewater Industries showed up, offering to buy property they'd never shown interest in before. Elena's voice cracked. I'm not crazy. I'm not paranoid. They killed my husband. And now they want to kill me too, or at least make me disappear. And Sophia? She couldn't finish. Marcus looked back at the living room where Sophia had fallen asleep against Titan's side, the dog's protective head resting on her small shoulder. Mrs. Reyes. Elena. Elena. I came here to be alone. I came here to... He stopped. How did you explain survivor's guilt to a widow? How did you say I watched my team die and I can't make it stop replaying in my head? I came here to disappear. I understand. You don't owe us anything. You already, but I'm not going to watch them hurt you, either of you. He met her eyes. I'm going to make some calls. I have friends who can help. In the meantime, you lock your doors. You don't open them for anyone. And if those men come back, you call me immediately. Elena nodded. Tears were streaming down her face now, but she was smiling. Why are you doing this? Marcus looked at Sophia, sleeping peacefully for the first time in probably months, protected by a dog who'd been trained to detect IEDs and enemies in the dark. Because someone has to. Back at his cabin, Marcus pulled out his encrypted satellite phone. It was 2100 hours. Isaiah Cole would be awake. The man never slept before midnight. The phone rang twice. Ghost speaking. Isaiah. It's Hawk. There was a pause. Brother, you're supposed to be meditating on a beach somewhere, finding your inner peace, communing with seagulls. Change of plans. I need you in Redwood Shores, Oregon. Yesterday. The humor left Isaiah's voice. What's the situation? Widow and her kid being terrorized by corporate thugs. Property dispute with some very ugly implications. I need your eyes, your ears, and your particular set of skills. Military. The thugs number sloppy, arrogant. But the company behind them. Something's not right. The widow's husband was killed 6 months ago. Marine biologist. They ruled it accidental. I'm not buying it. You got a name on the company. Tidewater Industries. CEO named Victor Crane. He could hear Isaiah's fingers flying on a keyboard. Already looking. Give me 12 hours. I'll have their entire digital life spread out like a dissected frog. And Hawk, I'll be there in 18 hours, bringing the full kit. Good. And profit. Yeah. Come quiet. I've got a feeling this is going to get loud. Marcus spent the next hour doing what he did best: reconnaissance. He moved through the woods surrounding Elena's property like a shadow titan ranging ahead, both of them falling into the old rhythm. Identify sightlines, note access points, map escape routes. What he found made him stop cold. Fresh boot prints, multiple sets, leading to 3 different elevated positions with clear views of Elena's house. They were already being watched. He keyed his phone. Elena answered on the first ring. Marcus. How's Sophia? Asleep, finally. Good. Listen carefully. Don't react. Don't look out the windows. You're under surveillance right now. At least 3 positions in the woods around your house." Her breath caught, but she kept her voice steady. "What do we do?" "Nothing tonight. They're watching, not moving. They're trying to scare you, keep you on edge. It's psychological warfare. Tomorrow, pack a bag. Essentials only. Be ready to move fast if I give the word." "Okay." "Elena, this is important. Do you have anyone, family, friends who could take Sophia somewhere safe? My sister lives in Seattle. But if I send Sophia away, they'll know I'm planning something. They'll move faster." She was right. And she was smart. Marcus felt a grudge respect for this woman who was thinking tactically even while her world collapsed. "Then we do this together. Keep Sophia close. Keep Titan closer. And Elena. Yes. Get some sleep. Tomorrow, we start fighting back." He spent the night in the woods watching the watchers. 3 men rotating in 6-hour shifts. Professional enough to maintain position discipline, but not good enough to hide from someone who'd spent 5 years hunting Taliban spotters in the Hindu Kush. At 0600, his phone buzzed. Text from Isaiah. "Landed. Coming to you. Have information. It's bad." By 0700, Isaiah was crouched next to him in the underbrush. Isaiah Cole was everything Marcus wasn't lean, where Marcus was broad quick, where Marcus was deliberate, always thinking 3 moves ahead, while Marcus focused on the move in front of him. They'd saved each other's lives enough times to have stopped counting. Isaiah handed him a tablet. Tidewater Industries. On paper, they're a legitimate development company. Resorts, marinas, high-end real estate. CEO Victor Crane, Stanford MBA, squeaky clean record. But their money's weird. I traced the ownership structure. It's shell companies all the way down. And those shells, they connect to other shells in the Caymans, Panama, Cyprus. Ghost money. And the pattern matches a network I've seen before. What network? Isaiah's jaw tightened. The Obsidian Syndicate. International trafficking. Drugs, weapons, people, they don't discriminate as long as the price is right. The FBI's been trying to crack them for a decade. They're ghosts. No faces, no names, just money moving in the dark and bodies that wash up when someone gets in their way. Marcus felt his stomach turn to ice. Elena's husband found their submarine port. And they killed him for it. Hawk, this isn't corporate intimidation. This is organized crime. These people disappear witnesses. They corrupt entire police departments. If they think Elena knows what her husband knew, she does. He told her, before he died. Then she's already dead. They're just deciding when and how. Isaiah looked at him. Brother, this is too big. We need to call the FBI. Get Elena and her kid into witness protection. How long does that take? 48 to 72 hours to get the wheels moving. She doesn't have 48 hours. You saw those watchers. They're establishing a pattern of life. They're planning something. Marcus stood. We bought her some time yesterday. Now we need to buy her more. How? By making it too expensive to move against her. By turning this from a quiet cleanup into a public incident. By giving them a reason to slow down and think. Isaiah grinned, that wild, slightly unhinged grin that Marcus had seen before every crazy plan they'd ever executed. I love it when you talk tactical. What do you need? Can you hack the local news station's tip line? Can I breathe? Then let's give them a story they can't ignore. By noon, Mara Chen from KROS News was standing on Elena's porch with a camera crew. She was young, hungry, and she'd received an anonymous tip about corporate harassment of a widow, complete with photos of the 3 men who'd assaulted Elena, photos Isaiah had pulled from traffic cameras and security feeds. Marcus watched from his cabin. This was the chess move. Force Crane into the light. Make him react publicly. Create evidence. Build a record. Mara's voice carried through the woods. Mrs. Reyes, can you describe the harassment you've experienced from Tidewater Industries? Elena, standing on her porch with Sophia beside her, looked directly into the camera. They killed my husband. They've threatened me. They've threatened my daughter. They want this property and they don't care who they hurt to get it. That's a serious accusation. Do you have evidence? I have medical records from yesterday's assault. I have a sheriff's report. And I have this. She held up a thick folder. My husband's research, his documentation of illegal activity in the waters off this property, activity that started 6 months before his death and ended 6 months after it. Marcus's phone buzzed. Isaiah typing fast. Crane's office is blowing up. 5 calls in the last 2 minutes. You just poked the bear. Good, Marcus thought. Let the bear come. This time he'd be ready. But he wasn't ready for what came next. A sleek black sedan pulled into Elena's driveway. The man who stepped out wore a suit that probably cost more than most people's cars. Silver hair, politician's smile, power radiating from him like heat. Councilman Dale Warren. He walked right up to the news camera, positioning himself between Mara and Elena with the practiced ease of someone who'd spent a lifetime controlling narratives. I'm so glad the press is here, Warren said, his voice smooth as oil. Because the community has concerns. Serious concerns about the welfare of this child. Marcus's blood went cold. Warren turned to face the camera directly. Yesterday there was a violent incident on this property. A veteran, troubled, possibly suffering from PTSD, unleashed a dangerous animal on 3 men who were simply attempting to conduct business. Mrs. Reyes's daughter witnessed this violence. As a mandated reporter, and as someone who cares deeply about this community, I've filed a formal complaint with Child Protective Services. You son of a... Elena lunged forward, but Mara's cameraman caught her arm. Warren continued unruffled. It's not about punishment, it's about safety. No child should be living in an environment where violent confrontations are normal, where dangerous animals... That's Titan. Sophia's voice, high and fierce, cut through Warren's speech. Titan saved us. He's good. Warren looked down at the little girl with something like pity. I'm sure you believe that, sweetheart. But sometimes children don't understand what's best for them. That's why adults have to make hard choices. He turned back to Mara's camera. CPS will be conducting an investigation. And until that investigation is complete, I believe the child should be placed in protective custody. For her own safety. The words landed like a bomb. Elena's face went white. No, you can't. I'm afraid it's already in motion, Mrs. Reyes. The paperwork was filed this morning. CPS will be here by end of business today. Warren's smile never wavered. Of course there is a way to avoid all this unpleasantness. Mr. Crane's offer still stands. Sell the property, take the money, move somewhere safe, give Sophia the stable life she deserves. Marcus was already moving Titan at his side. He crossed the distance between his cabin and Elena's house in under a minute. He arrived just as Warren was getting back into his sedan. Councilman! Marcus's voice stopped the man mid-step. Warren turned, his smile tightening slightly. And you must be the troubled veteran. I'd be careful, son. Assault charges are already pending. You don't want to add to them. What assault charges? The 3 men you attacked yesterday have filed a complaint. My understanding is the sheriff will be issuing a warrant shortly. Warren's eyes gleamed. Seems like everyone involved with Mrs. Reyes has legal troubles. Concerning pattern, don't you think? Marcus stepped closer, invading the politician's personal space. Up close, he could see the fear lurking behind Warren's confident mask. Here's what I think, Councilman. I think you're a coward who terrorizes widows and children because someone's paying you. I think you've forgotten what actual courage looks like. So let me remind you. He leaned in, voice dropping to a whisper only Warren could hear. You come for that little girl, you come for her mother, and I promise you, I don't care about warrants. I don't care about consequences. You'll learn what it feels like to be on the wrong side of someone who has nothing left to lose. Warren's face flushed red. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Now get off this property before I show you exactly what a troubled veteran looks like when he stops being polite. Warren scrambled into his car, trying to maintain dignity. As he drove away, Marcus heard Mara Chen's voice. Did you get that? Tell me you got that. Her cameraman nodded, grinning. Marcus turned to find Elena standing in her doorway, Sophia clutching her hand. The news crew was packing up Mara already on her phone, probably calling her editor. They're going to take her, Elena whispered. They're going to take my daughter, and there's nothing. No. Marcus climbed the porch steps. They're not, because we're not letting them. How do we stop CPS? How do we stop the law? We don't stop it. We redirect it. Isaiah, Marcus called out. His friend emerged from the Woods laptop under his arm. How fast can you compile a case file on Warren? His financials, his connections to Crane. Everything that proves this is retaliation, not genuine concern. Already doing it. Give me 3 hours. We don't have 3 hours, Elena said. Warren said end of business. That's 5 p.m. Marcus checked his watch. 1:30 p.m. 3.5 hours. Then we need leverage, something that stops them cold. Like what? Elena asked. Marcus looked at Sophia, who was being brave, trying not to cry. He thought about every village he'd protected, every mission where the stakes were life and death, every time he'd had to choose between following orders and doing what was right. We give them something bigger to worry about than you, he said. We give them Victor Crane. Here, Isaiah pulled up every piece of public information on Crane in the next hour. Traffic camera footage, credit card transactions, social media posts. He built a pattern of life where Crane went, when, with whom. He's got a routine, Isaiah reported. Every Tuesday and Thursday, he leaves his office at 4 p.m., drives to the Redwood Shores Marina, boards a yacht called the Obsidian, meets with someone. Meetings last exactly 1 hour. Today's Tuesday, Marcus noted. Yeah, and look at this. Isaiah pulled up footage from 3 weeks ago. That's Crane boarding, and that? He zoomed in on a figure in the shadows. I ran facial recognition. Nothing. Complete ghost. Whoever Crane's meeting with, they don't exist in any database. That's his handler, Marcus said with certainty. That's the syndicate's link to Crane. That's who's really running this operation. So we follow him, Elena said. She'd been listening, Sophia asleep in her lap. We document the meeting. We prove Tidewater isn't a legitimate company. It's not that simple, Isaiah cautioned. If we spook them, they'll disappear. These people are professionals, and we still have the CPS problem. Even if we expose Crane tonight, Sophia could be in state custody by then. Marcus's phone rang. Unknown number. He answered. Mr. Dawson. Sheriff Eva Navarro's voice was tight. I need you to come to my office, alone, now. Sheriff, I'm kind of busy. I know about the warrant Warren's pushing for. I know about the CPS complaint. And I know things about this town that you need to hear. Please, if you want to help Elena Reyes and her daughter, you'll come now. She hung up. Marcus looked at Elena. I have to go. Isaiah stays here with you and Sophia. If anyone shows up, you call me immediately. Be careful, Elena said. As Marcus headed for his truck, Titan padding beside him, he couldn't shake the feeling that the chessboard was about to be flipped entirely. They'd made their moves. Now the other side would respond. He just hoped they were ready for it. Oh, Sheriff Eva Navarro's office was in a building that looked like it had been standing since the town was founded. Wood paneling, old coffee smell, American flag in the corner faded from sunlight. Navarro herself was in her 50s, gray streaking her dark hair eyes that had seen too much and still looked for more. She gestured Marcus into a chair and closed the door. You've made enemies fast, Mr. Dawson. I've got a talent for it. Warren's pushing hard for that warrant. Says you threatened him on camera. Did the camera also catch him threatening to take a little girl from her mother? Navarro's mouth tightened. I saw the news. I saw what he did. And I'm telling you right now officially that I think he's a corrupt piece of garbage who's been in Crane's pocket since the day Tidewater came to town. Officially, I can't do a damn thing about it. He's protected. The mayor's protected. Half the town council is protected. Crane bought them all, and the ones he didn't buy he scared into line. She pulled out a thick file. Elena's husband, Miguel. I knew him. Good man. Brilliant. And careful. The drowning report. It's garbage. The medical examiner who signed off on it retired 2 weeks later. Moved to Florida. Bought a house cash. Marcus leaned forward. You're saying? I'm saying I've been trying to build a case against Crane for 6 months, and every time I get close evidence disappears. Witnesses change their stories. My own deputies. She stopped jaw working. I don't know who I can trust in my own department. Then why tell me this? Because you're not from here. You don't owe this town anything. And because I've seen men like you before, men who don't stop when things get hard. Men who do what's right even when it's dangerous. She pushed the file across the desk. This is everything I've got on Crane. It's not enough for an arrest. It's barely enough for a warrant. But maybe you can do something with it. Marcus opened the file. Financial records, property transfers, witness statements all recanted, and photos. Lots of photos. Of boats coming and going at night, of construction on the cliffs, of Miguel Reyes's body being pulled from the water. The CPS complaint, Marcus said. Can you stop it? No. Warren filed it with the county. It's out of my jurisdiction, but I can slow it down. I've got a friend in the county office. She can tie it up in paperwork for maybe 48 hours. After that... Navarro shrugged. You need to either solve this or get Elena and Sofia out of here. What about you? If I go after Crane, if this blows up, you'll be in the crossfire. Navarro smiled, but there was no humor in it. I've been in the crossfire since the day I pinned on this badge. The question is, are you ready for what comes next? Because once you really commit to this fight, there's no walking away. Crane won't stop. The syndicate won't stop. They'll come for you with everything they've got. Marcus thought about Sofia sleeping peacefully against Titan, about Elena's determination to protect her daughter, about Miguel Reyes, who died trying to do the right thing. I'm already committed, he said. He was halfway back to his truck when he saw them 2 black SUVs parked on the street. Watching. Waiting. And in the passenger seat of the first SUV, a face he recognized from Isaiah's research. Cade Mercer. Former Delta Force. Dishonorable discharge for excessive violence. Current occupation freelance security consultant. Translation mercenary. Mercer saw Marcus looking. He smiled, raised a phone to his ear, made a show of dialing. Marcus's phone rang. You're the SEAL. Mercer's voice was smooth professional. Isaiah Cole's your tech guy. You're staying at the Ocean View cabin. You've made friends with the Reyes widow and her kid. That's sweet. Domestic. Get to the point. The point is you're out of your depth. This isn't Afghanistan. This isn't some mud hut you can kick down. This is a business operation and you're interrupting business. My employer is willing to be reasonable. Walk away. Tonight. Take your dog and your buddy and disappear. There's $10,000 in it for your trouble. And if I don't, then we stop being reasonable. And trust me, SEAL, you don't want that. I've got 6 operators on my team. All of us former special operations. All of us very good at making problems disappear. You're one man. You're good, I'm sure. But you're not that good. Marcus looked at Mercer's smiling face through the windshield. Your employer made a mistake sending you. Know why? Enlighten me. Because you're trying to intimidate me with numbers, with firepower, with tactical superiority. But you're forgetting something important. What's that? I don't care about any of it. I don't care about your team. I don't care about your employer. I care about one little girl who shouldn't have to be scared in her own home. And I will go through you, your team, and anyone else who threatens her. That's not tactical assessment. That's a fact. He hung up. Mercer's smile vanished. The SUVs pulled away, but Marcus knew they'd be back. The gloves were off now. The fight was coming. He just had to make sure he was ready for it. Back at Elena's house, Isaiah had turned her kitchen into a command center. Laptop screens showing multiple feeds, traffic cameras, social media radio frequencies. "We've got a problem," Isaiah said the moment Marcus walked in. "Actually, we've got 3 problems. Problem 1, CPS is coming at 5 p.m. That's 45 minutes. Problem 2, I just intercepted encrypted communications. Mercer's team is preparing for a night operation. They're planning to hit this house after dark. And problem 3, Crane's yacht meeting is happening right now, and the person he's meeting with." Isaiah pulled up a grainy surveillance photo. "I finally got a facial recognition hit. It took running it through international databases, but I found him. His name is Alexei Volkov, former Russian intelligence. Current status international criminal. Wanted for murder, trafficking, and extortion in 11 countries." Marcus studied the photo. Volkov was ordinary-looking, the kind of face you'd forget in a crowd, which made him the most dangerous kind of predator. "If Volkov's here," Marcus said slowly, "this isn't just about smuggling. This is about something bigger, a lot bigger." Elena appeared in the doorway, Sophia behind her. "What are we going to do?" Marcus looked at the clock. 4:15 p.m. 45 minutes until CPS arrived. Hours until Mercer's team made their move. And somewhere in the darkness, Volkov was pulling strings. The smart move was to run, load Elena and Sophia into his truck and drive until they hit Canada. But running meant Crane won. It meant Warren won. It meant every other family in Redwood Shores who stood up to these people would be crushed. "We fight," Marcus said. "Isaiah, I need you to record everything that happens when CPS gets here. Every word, every action. Elena, when they arrive, you don't argue, you don't resist, you cooperate completely. Make them work for every inch." "What are you going to do?" Elena asked. Marcus checked his sidearm, made sure Titan's vest was secure. "I'm going to go have a conversation with Alexei Volkov, and I'm going to make him understand that staying in Redwood Shores is very bad for his health." "Marcus, that's insane. He'll have security. He'll be on a boat in the dark where everything I learned how to do best applies." Marcus knelt in front of Sophia. "Hey, kiddo, you remember what I told you about Titan?" Sophia nodded. "He protects people." "That's right. And you know what? So do I. So whatever happens tonight, I need you to remember something. The good guys don't always look like the good guys. Sometimes they're scary. Sometimes they have to do scary things. But we do them to protect people like you and your mom." "Okay. Okay." Sophia hugged him suddenly fiercely. "Thank you for being scary for us." Marcus felt something crack in his chest. This was why he'd come home from the war. Not to hide, not to forget, but to find something worth protecting again. At 4:55 p.m., a gray sedan pulled into Elena's driveway. 2 women in business casual got out. One carried a clipboard, the other a briefcase. "Mrs. Reyes." The clipboard woman's voice was professionally sympathetic. "I'm Linda Albright from Child Protective Services. This is my colleague Jennifer Harris. We received a complaint regarding the welfare of your daughter. May we come in?" And as Elena, hands shaking but voice steady, invited them into her home. Marcus slipped into the growing darkness, Titan at his side, heading toward the marina where monsters made their plans. The war had come to Redwood Shores, and Marcus Dawson was ready to take it to them. The marina was quiet. Too quiet. Marcus moved through the parking lot like Smoke Titan's paws, silent on the asphalt. He could hear voices carrying across the water. Crane's yacht was lit up like a Christmas tree, music drifting from the deck. Amateur hour. Marcus keyed his radio. "Prophet, you getting this?" Isaiah's voice crackled in his ear. "Crystal clear. I've got thermal imaging on the boat. 4 bodies, 2 on deck, 2 below. Wait, make that 5. Someone just came up from the cabin." "That's Volkov." "How do you know?" Because the other four just straightened up like privates at attention. Fear response. That's the boss. Marcus moved closer, using the dock's shadows. He could see them now, Crane pacing agitated, gesturing wildly. Two bodyguards flanking him, both with the dead-eyed look of men who'd killed before and would kill again. And Volkov standing perfectly still, watching Crane's panic with the detached interest of a scientist observing a lab rat. The seal is becoming a problem. Crane's voice carried across the water. He's contacted the sheriff. He's got the press involved. Warren says... Warren is incompetent. Volkov's accent was slight, his English perfect. As are you, Victor. You were given a simple task. Acquire the property. Remove the obstacle. Instead, you have created a spectacle. I'm handling it. Mercer's team will move tonight. The woman and the child will be gone by morning. No. Volkov's voice was ice. The time for subtlety has passed. The organization does not tolerate exposure. Your face is now on the news. The property has become infamous. This is unacceptable. Crane's face went pale. What are you saying? I am saying that you have failed. The only question now is how we contain the damage. Marcus felt Titan tense beside him. The dog had sensed something. Movement. Behind them. He turned slowly. 3 men emerging from the shadows. Mercer's operators. They'd been watching the boat too. And now they'd found him. Well, Mercer's voice came from the darkness. Looks like we both had the same idea. Eavesdropping on the boss. Marcus's hand moved toward his weapon. This doesn't have to get ugly. Oh, it's already ugly, Seal. You made it ugly when you turned down my offer. Mercer stepped into the light, tall, lean, with the coiled confidence of a professional killer. Now my employer wants you dead, and I always deliver. The gunshot came from the yacht. A single crack that echoed across the marina. Everyone froze. On the deck, Crane staggered backward, a red bloom spreading across his chest. He looked down at the wound, confused, then up at Volkov, who was lowering a suppressed pistol. No more loose ends, Volkov said calmly. Crane collapsed. Jesus, one of Mercer's men whispered. Volkov turned toward the dock, toward the spot where Marcus and Mercer's team were standing in shock. Even in the darkness, his eyes seemed to find them. Kill them all. Anyone who witnessed this. Leave no trace. The bodyguards moved instantly, weapons coming up. Marcus didn't hesitate. Titan Fluchten. The German command for retreat sent the dogs sprinting toward cover as Marcus threw himself behind a concrete piling. Rounds sparked off the dock where he'd been standing. Mercer's team scattered, caught between Marcus and Volkov's shooters. One of them wasn't fast enough. A 3-round burst caught him center mass, and he went down hard. Fall back, Mercer screamed. Fall back! Marcus was already moving using the chaos. He fired twice, controlled shots aiming for legs, not center mass. One of Volkov's bodyguards went down. The other ducked for cover. Prophet! Marcus shouted into his radio. We've got a situation. Crane's dead. Volkov just executed him. I saw it on thermal. Marcus, you need to get out of there. Wait. Wait. I'm picking up multiple vehicles converging on your position. 6 SUVs, more of Mercer's team. Marcus cursed. He was trapped between the boat and the incoming reinforcements. Titan had made it to cover behind a shipping container, eyes locked on Marcus, waiting for the next command. Mercer appeared beside him, bleeding from a grazed shoulder, his own team pinned down. Temporary truce. What? My employer just killed my actual employer. That makes him not my employer anymore. And it makes both of us witnesses he needs dead. So temporary truce. We get off this dock alive, then we go back to trying to kill each other. Marcus calculated the angles. 6 seconds to decide. Deal. On 3 we move for that container. You go left, I go right. Draw their fire. That's a suicide move. You got a better idea. Mercer grinned. I like you, Seal. It's going to be a shame killing you later. 1, 2, 3. They broke from cover simultaneously. Marcus fired on the run, keeping Volkov's remaining bodyguard pinned while Mercer laid down covering fire. Bullets chewed up the dock around them. Marcus felt one tug at his jacket, another crack past his ear so close he felt the sonic pressure. He dove behind the container just as Titan lunged from the shadows, hitting Volkov's bodyguard from behind. The man screamed as 90 pounds of combat-trained dog took him down. "Titan aus," Marcus called. The dog released and sprinted to safety as return fire shredded the air where he'd been. "Your dog's insane," Mercer panted. "He's well trained. There's a difference." Marcus checked his magazine. 12 rounds left. "Those SUVs your men?" "Some of them. Maybe 3. The other 3?" Mercer shook his head. "Those are Volkov's cleanup crew. He came prepared for war." As if to punctuate the statement, the first SUV screamed into the parking lot doors, flying open before it even stopped. 4 men emerged, moving with military precision. "Former Spetsnaz," Mercer muttered. "We're outgunned." "Then we don't fight them. We run. There's a boat at the end of the dock. Small speedboat. We take it, we get out on the water where they can't follow. That's a 30-yard sprint. Open ground. We'll be cut to pieces." Marcus pulled a flashbang from his tactical vest. "Not if they're blind. You still got your smoke grenades." Mercer checked his gear. 2. "Then let's make some cover. On my mark." Marcus keyed his radio. "Prophet, we're about to make a lot of noise. Call the Coast Guard. Tell them there's an active shooter situation at the marina and a murder on Victor Crane's yacht. Then call Sheriff Navarro. Tell her to get every cop she trusts down here now." "Marcus, what about Elena and Sophia? Are they still with CPS?" "Yeah, but then they're safe for now. Those CPS workers are witnesses. Volkov's smart enough not to make a move with them there. We deal with this mess first. Now make those calls." He didn't wait for a response. "Mercer. Mark." They threw simultaneously Marcus's flashbang, sailing toward Volkov's position, while Mercer's smoke grenades landed between them and the approaching SUVs. The flashbang detonated with a concussive blast that lit up the night. Smoke billowed thick and gray. "Move, move, move." Marcus sprinted Titan, matching his pace stride for stride. Behind them, automatic weapons fire chewed through the smoke. He heard Mercer curse as a round clipped his leg, but the mercenary kept running. 20 yards. 15. 10. One of Volkov's men emerged from the smoke ahead of them, rifle coming up. Marcus didn't slow down. He hit the man at full speed, using his body weight like a battering ram. They went down together, Marcus's elbow driving into the man's temple. Once. Twice. The man went limp. 5 yards. The speedboat was right there, keys in the ignition, because some idiot tourist had left it unsecured. Marcus grabbed Titan by his vest and literally threw the dog into the boat. Mercer tumbled in after blood streaming from his leg wound. Marcus hit the ignition. The engine roared to life just as rounds started punching through the fiberglass hull. "Go, go, go!" Mercer was returning fire, his handgun cracking in the night. Marcus slammed the throttle forward. The boat leaped away from the dock, carving a white wake across the dark water. Behind them, the marina was chaos sirens wailing, more gunfire men shouting in Russian and English. They were 100 yards out when Marcus saw Volkov standing on the deck of Crane's yacht. Even at this distance, even in the darkness, Marcus could feel the man's eyes on him, calculating, assessing. Then Volkov turned and disappeared below deck. "He's running," Mercer said. "There's a dinghy on the other side of that yacht. He'll be gone before the cops arrive." "Not if I can help it." Marcus spun the wheel, bringing the speedboat around in a tight arc. "What are you doing?" "What does it look like I'm going after him?" "That's suicide. You heard the gunfire back there. His whole crew is on that dock. Then they're between him and his escape route, which means we come at him from the water side." Marcus looked at Mercer. "You want revenge for your men? For getting set up? Help me." Mercer was silent for 3 seconds. Then he checked his weapon. "This is the dumbest thing I've ever done, and I once jumped out of a helicopter into a minefield." They came in fast and low, engines screaming. Marcus could see the dinghy now. Volkov was already in it, casting off lines. One bodyguard with him sweeping the area with a rifle. "Titan," Marcus pointed. "Be watchin'." The dog understood. Guard. Protect. The moment the speedboat was close enough, Titan launched himself across the gap, hitting the dinghy like a furry missile. The bodyguard tried to bring his rifle around. Titan's jaws clamped on his arm. The rifle clattered into the water. Marcus and Mercer followed a half-second later. Marcus went for Volkov while Mercer engaged the screaming bodyguard. But Volkov wasn't like Crane's amateur thugs. He was fast-trained, deadly. He caught Marcus's first punch, redirected it, drove a knee toward Marcus's solar plexus. Marcus barely twisted away in time. They grappled in the small boat, neither able to get proper leverage. Volkov went for a weapon. Marcus grabbed his wrist, twisted, drove his forehead into Volkov's nose. Blood exploded. "You're good," Volkov gasped, still fighting. "But you're alone. I have resources you can't imagine. I have connections. You kill me, 10 more take my place. Then I'll kill them too." Marcus drove another strike, catching Volkov in the throat. The Russian choked, stumbled back. "The woman, the child. Even if you win tonight, I've already given the order. By morning they're dead. You're dead. Everyone connected to this is dead." Marcus felt cold rage flooding his system. "Then I guess I'll have to kill you right now." He moved forward, and the dinghy's engine suddenly roared to life. Volkov had managed to reach the controls. The boat lurched violently. Marcus lost his footing. Volkov dove into the water. Marcus lunged after him, but the Russian was already swimming powerfully toward shore, toward the darkness, toward escape. "Let him go!" Mercer shouted. "Coast Guard's coming! We need to get our stories straight before they arrive." Marcus wanted to pursue. Every instinct screamed at him to finish this. But Mercer was right. The marina was now a crime scene. They needed to be smart, not just aggressive. He pulled Titan back into the speedboat. The dog was bleeding from a gash on his shoulder, but his eyes were bright alert, still ready to fight. "Good boy," Marcus whispered. "Good boy." They motored back to the dock slowly, hands visible, weapons holstered. Sheriff Navarro was already there, her deputies establishing a perimeter. When she saw Marcus, her face was grim. "Please tell me you didn't kill Victor Crane." "Volkov killed him, right in front of us. I've got witnesses." He gestured to Mercer. "Even him?" Mercer nodded. "It's true, Sheriff. I saw the whole thing. Volkov executed Crane, then ordered his men to kill everyone who witnessed it. We barely got out alive." Navarro looked between them. "You two were shooting at each other 20 minutes ago." "Temporary truce," Marcus said. "Enemy of my enemy and all that." "Where's Volkov now?" "Gone. He dove into the water, swam for shore. Probably got a vehicle stashed. He'll be in the wind by now." Navarro cursed. "This is a nightmare. A dead CEO, a firefight at the marina, an international criminal on the loose in my town." She stopped. "Elena? Sophia? If Volkov's gone dark." "He said he already gave the order." Marcus felt his chest tighten. "He said by morning they'd be dead." Navarro was already moving. "Deputy Chen, I need every available unit at the Reyes property now. And get me a line to the FBI field office in Portland. We need federal backup, and we need it 10 minutes ago." Marcus ran for his truck. Mercer followed, limping on his wounded leg. "What are you doing? What does it look like? You can't protect them alone, not against what's coming." Marcus stopped, looked at the mercenary who'd been trying to kill him an hour ago. "You offering to help?" "I'm offering to make sure that bastard Volkov doesn't get what he wants. My men died tonight. Good men. They deserved better than to be executed by their own employer's boss." Mercer's jaw tightened. So yeah, I'm offering to help. Tonight only. Tomorrow we figure out if we're friends or enemies. Deal. They made it back to Elena's house in 12 minutes. The CPS worker's car was gone. The house was dark. Too dark. Marcus felt his blood turn to ice. Isaiah, respond. Static. Then Isaiah's voice strained, scared. Marcus, thank God. We've got a situation. The CPS interview went bad. Albright tried to take Sophia. Elena resisted. Things got physical. Then federal marshals showed up, actual marshals with a warrant. They took Elena into custody on some trumped-up charge. Obstruction. Assaulting a social worker. I don't even know. Where's Sophia? That's the thing. I hit her. When it started going sideways, I grabbed her and Kodiak, wait, that's not right. Titan, sorry. I grabbed her and we went out the back. We're in the woods now, but Marcus... Isaiah's voice dropped to a whisper. We're not alone. I'm hearing movement. Multiple hostiles. They're hunting us. Marcus was already running for the tree line. How many? I count at least 4, maybe 6. Professional movements. Night vision. Suppressors. This is Volkov's cleanup crew. Can you get to the cabin? My cabin. Negative. They're between us and any extraction point. We're pinned down. Mercer grabbed Marcus's arm. I know these woods. There's an old logging road about half a mile north. If your friend can get there, we can intercept, provide cover. Get them out. How do you know the woods? Because Crane had me survey every inch of this property 3 weeks ago. I know all the angles, all the approaches. And right now, that little girl needs us to know them too. Marcus keyed his radio. Prophet, head north. Half a mile. Old logging road. We'll meet you there. And brother? Yeah. Keep Sophia safe. Whatever it takes. Roger that. They moved through the forest like ghosts, Titan leading the way. The dog's head was low, his movements deliberate. He could smell them, the hunters, in the darkness. His lips peeled back in a silent snarl. Marcus heard it first. Voices. Russian. Close. 2 contacts, he whispered. 20 meters. They're converging on Isaiah's position. I'll take the left, Mercer said. You take right. Silent takedown. No shots. We don't want to draw the others. They split up. Marcus moved through the undergrowth without a sound, every sense heightened. He could see the hostile, now Spetsnaz, training evident in every movement. The man was scanning with night vision weapon up, finger on the trigger. Marcus came from behind, one hand over the mouth, the other applying pressure to the carotid artery. The man struggled for 5 seconds, then went limp. Marcus lowered him silently to the ground, zip-tied his hands. Mercer appeared a moment later, dragging his own unconscious hostile. 2 down, 4 to 6 to go. A burst of suppressed gunfire shattered the night. Isaiah's position. Move! Marcus sprinted toward the sound. Through the trees he could see muzzle flashes. Isaiah was pinned down behind a fallen log, returning fire with his sidearm. And beside him, Sophia was curled into a ball, hands over her ears. Titan's body covering her like a shield. 3 hostiles were advancing on them, laying down a coordinated field of fire. Marcus didn't announce himself. He and Mercer hit them from behind a 3-second engagement that was brutal and efficient. Marcus took the first man with a knife strike to the back of the knee, followed by a takedown. Mercer shot the second man in the shoulder, dropping him. The third tried to spin, tried to engage, but Titan was already moving 90 pounds of fury, launching at the man's throat. The hostile went down screaming. Titan aus, Marcus commanded. The dog released, but stayed positioned between Sophia and the threat. Isaiah emerged from cover. Sophia in his arms. The little girl was sobbing silently, her face buried in Isaiah's shoulder. Is she hurt? Marcus asked. No. Scared, but not hurt. Isaiah's hands were shaking. Marcus, they were going to kill us. They weren't trying to capture. They were going to execute us right here in the woods. How many left? I counted 6 total. We took down 5. That leaves... The bullet took Isaiah in the shoulder. He went down hard, Sophia tumbling from his arms. She hit the ground and scrambled backwards, screaming. The sixth hostile stepped from the shadows, older than the others, calm, professional. His weapon was trained on Sophia. "Nobody moves," he said in perfect English, "or the child dies." Marcus froze. Titan was growling, but he'd given no attack command. Mercer's weapon was coming up, but not fast enough. "Drop your weapons," the hostile continued. "All of them, on the ground, now." Marcus bent slowly, setting his pistol down. Mercer did the same. Sophia was crying, her small body shaking with terror. "Please," Marcus said quietly. "She's just a child. She hasn't done anything. She's a witness. Volkov's orders are clear. No witnesses." The man's finger tightened on the trigger. Marcus's mind raced. He had one chance, one move. If he dove for Sophia, drew the fire to himself. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space of the forest. The hostile's head snapped back. He collapsed. Behind him, Sheriff Navarro stood with her service weapon still raised, smoke curling from the barrel. "Federal backup's 2 minutes out," she said, "but I wasn't waiting." Marcus grabbed Sophia, pulled her into his arms. She wrapped around him like a drowning person clutching a life raft. "You're okay," he whispered. "You're safe. I've got you." "My mom," Sophia sobbed. "They took my mom." I know, sweetheart. And we're going to get her back. I promise." Isaiah was on the ground bleeding but conscious. Mercer was already applying pressure to the wound. "Through and through, he'll live." Navarro was on her radio calling for medical assistance. "We need to secure the area. If there were 6, there might be more." "There aren't," Mercer said with certainty. "This was a cleanup team. 6 is standard. We've neutralized the immediate threat." Marcus stood still, holding Sophia Titan pressed against his leg. Through the trees he could see lights approaching. Federal vehicles. Backup. Help. But Volkov was still out there. Elena was in custody on false charges. And somewhere in the darkness, more threats were gathering. The battle at the marina had been the first shot. This firefight in the woods had been the second. But the real war, the war for justice, for truth, for a little girl's right to live without fear, that war was just beginning. Sophia's small voice broke through his thoughts. "Mr. Marcus, are you going to leave? Are you going to go away like everyone else?" He looked down at her tear-stained face, at eyes that had seen too much, at a child who'd lost her father and was now losing her mother. "No, sweetheart. I'm not going anywhere. Not until you and your mom are safe. Not until every bad guy is gone. I promise." "Do you pinky promise?" Marcus held out his little finger. Sophia wrapped hers around it. "I pinky promise." Isaiah, being loaded onto a stretcher by the arriving paramedics, managed a weak smile. "Brother, you just made a tactical commitment to a 3rd grader." "Best commitment I ever made," Marcus replied. As the federal agents swarmed the scene, as the sun began to rise on a town that had just become a war zone, Marcus Dawson stood with a traumatized little girl in his arms and a combat dog at his side, and he knew with absolute certainty that he'd found what he'd been searching for since he came home from the war. A reason to fight, a reason to stand, a reason to never ever back down. Volkov thought he'd won by scattering them, by taking Elena, by sending assassins after Sophia. But he'd made a fatal mistake. He'd given Marcus Dawson something to protect, and that made him the most dangerous man in the world. The federal agent's name was Diana Cross, and she had the kind of face that had seen too many crime scenes and believed in too few miracles. She sat across from Marcus in Sheriff Navarro's cramped office, a voice recorder between them, her eyes cold and assessing. "Let me get this straight, Mr. Dawson. You witnessed a murder. You engaged in a firefight with trained operatives. You pursued a known international criminal across open water. And now you're claiming Elena Reyes is being held on false charges while her daughter is the target of an assassination plot." "That's not a claim," Marcus said. "That's what happened. And you expect me to believe that Victor Crane, a respected businessman, was actually running a smuggling operation for Russian organized crime. I expect you to do your job, which includes getting Elena Reyes released from custody and putting Sofia into actual protective custody, not leaving her exposed while you sit here questioning the people who saved her life. Cross's jaw tightened. We have protocols, Mr. Dawson. We can't just... Protocols. Marcus leaned forward. 6 men tried to murder an 8-year-old girl in the woods last night. How's that for protocol? Which is exactly why I need to understand what's really happening here. Because from where I'm sitting, this looks like a turf war between private military contractors that's gotten out of hand. Marcus stood up. Then you're not looking hard enough. Isaiah Cole put together a complete file on the Obsidian Syndicate's financial connections to Tidewater Industries. It's all there. Shell companies, wire transfers, property acquisitions. You want evidence? He's got terabytes of it. Isaiah Cole, the man who's currently in surgery for a gunshot wound he received during an illegal surveillance operation. The man who's currently in surgery because he protected a child from assassins while you people were shuffling paperwork. Navarro stepped between them. Agent Cross, with respect, we've got 5 dead bodies, 12 detained hostiles, and a missing international criminal. Whatever jurisdictional issues you want to argue about, they can wait. Right now, we need to focus on keeping Sofia Reyes alive and getting her mother back. Cross stared at them both. Then she pulled out her phone. I'll make some calls. Get Elena transferred to federal custody for her own protection. But Mr. Dawson... She pointed at Marcus. You're done playing cowboy. You stay away from this investigation. You stay away from the Reyes family. You let professionals handle it from here. Marcus didn't respond. He just walked out. In the hallway, Mercer was leaning against the wall, his leg bandaged, a cigarette dangling from his lips despite the no smoking signs. She cut you loose? Mercer asked. More like ordered me to stand down. You going to... What do you think? Mercer smiled. I think you're about to do something monumentally stupid. I think you're going to go after Volkov yourself. And I think you're going to need backup. I thought our truce ended at sunrise. Yeah, well, turns out I'm not great at following rules either. Mercer flicked his cigarette away. Besides, I've got a score to settle. 3 of my men are dead because of that bastard. So where do we start? Marcus pulled out his phone. Isaiah had sent him a file before going into surgery location data from Volkov's burner phone, tracked through cellular triangulation before the Russian had ditched it. Volkov's smart. He knows we'll be watching airports, train stations, main roads, so he'll go to ground. Somewhere isolated. Somewhere he can regroup and wait for extraction. There's an old fish processing plant, Mercer said. 20 miles up the coast. Been abandoned for years. Crane used it as a staging area for shipments. If Volkov knows about the syndicate's local operations, that's where he'd go. Marcus pulled up a satellite image on his phone. Large enough to hide in, remote enough to avoid detection, close enough to the water for a boat pickup. So we hit it, fast and hard. How many men you got? Marcus looked at him. You're looking at him. 1 SEAL and a half-crippled mercenary against however many operators Volkov's got left. Those are terrible odds. I've worked with worse. Marcus headed for the door. You coming or not? Mercer followed, limping. This is definitely the dumbest thing I've ever done, and that list includes Kandahar. They made it 3 steps outside before Sofia appeared running toward them from Navarro's squad car. Titan was at her side, the dog's shoulder freshly bandaged, but his eyes alert. Mr. Marcus, you can't leave. Marcus knelt down. Sofia, I'm just... You're going after the bad man, the one who took my mom. Her small face was fierce. I heard you talking. Sweetheart, this is dangerous. You need to stay here where it's safe. Safe. Sofia's voice cracked. They tried to kill me last night. They took my mommy. Nowhere is safe. Tears were streaming down her face now, but she wasn't backing down. You promised. You pinky promised you wouldn't leave. Marcus felt something break in his chest. Sophia, I'm not leaving. I'm going to get your mom back. Then take me with you. Absolutely not. Why? Because I'm little. Because I'm just a kid. Sophia grabbed his hand. My daddy used to say being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do the right thing even when you are scared. I'm really, really scared, Mr. Marcus. But I want to do the right thing. I want to help save my mommy. Mercer cleared his throat. Kid's got a point. Volkov doesn't know her face. She could be useful as... No. Marcus's voice was steel. She's 8 years old. I'm not using a child as bait or cover or anything else. She stays here. Mr. Marcus. Sophia, listen to me. Marcus took both her hands. You want to help your mom, then you stay safe. Because if something happens to you, it'll destroy her. The bravest thing you can do right now is trust me to bring her home. Can you do that? Sophia's lip trembled. Then she nodded. Okay. But you have to promise again. Promise you'll bring her back. I promise. She hugged him suddenly fiercely. Be careful. Please be careful. Sheriff Navarro came out gently taking Sophia's hand. Come on, honey. Let's get you something to eat. And you. She looked at Marcus. Be smart about whatever you're planning. Federal agents are swarming this town. You get caught doing something illegal, I can't protect you. Noted. As they drove north, Mercer broke the silence. You know that promise you made to that kid? Yeah. You better keep it. Because if you don't, if Elena Reyes dies trying to play hero, that little girl's going to remember it for the rest of her life. She's going to remember that you promised and failed. I know. Marcus's hands tightened on the wheel. Which is why failure isn't an option. The fish processing plant loomed against the gray morning sky like a monument to economic decay. Rusted metal, broken windows, the smell of old fish guts and seawater permanently embedded in the concrete. 2 guards on the south entrance, Mercer whispered, scanning through binoculars. 3 more on the roof, and I'm betting there's at least another 6 inside. Marcus studied the building. So 11 minimum, plus Volkov, against 2 of us. Terrible odds. Yeah. Marcus checked his weapons. Good thing we're not playing fair. You said Crane used this place for staging. Yeah. Why? Which means there's probably smuggled cargo still inside. Drugs, weapons, cash, things that go boom if you know how to make them. Mercer's eyes lit up. You want to blow the building? Not the whole building, just enough to create chaos. Separate them. Force them into reactive mode instead of defensive. Marcus pulled out his phone. And I'm calling in a favor. The number he dialed belonged to Captain Jake Hammer Morrison, his former SEAL team commander. The man who'd pulled strings to get Marcus an extended leave instead of a medical discharge. Hawk. What the hell time is it? 0730, sir, and I need an emergency favor. Why do I already regret this conversation? There's a federal operation going down in Redwood Shores, Oregon. Domestic terrorism investigation. But the bad guys have a civilian hostage. Female 35, mother of 1. They're holding her at an abandoned fish processing plant 20 miles north of town. And you know this how? Because I've been tracking them since they killed Victor Crane last night. Sir, I witnessed the murder. I've got evidence. But the feds are moving too slow, and this woman doesn't have time. There was a long pause. You're asking me to authorize an unauthorized rescue operation on domestic soil. I'm asking you to make a phone call to someone who can get eyes on this location, confirm the hostage situation, and then do whatever protocol requires when American citizens are in imminent danger. Another pause. If this blows up in my face, you're going to prison. If I don't act, an innocent woman dies and her daughter becomes an orphan. I can live with prison, sir. I can't live with that. Give me the coordinates. And Hawk, don't do anything stupid until I call you back. That's an order. Yes, sir. Marcus hung up. Mercer stared at him. You just committed about 17 violations of federal law. 18. I lied about it being an official federal operation. So we wait. We recon. If Morrison can get official eyes on this place, it gives us cover. If not, we're going in anyway. They spent the next 30 minutes circling the perimeter. Titan moved ahead of them, his trained nose picking up scents, his body language telling Marcus everything he needed to know about guard positions and patrol patterns. "They're professional," Mercer muttered. "Overlapping fields of fire, radio check-ins every 10 minutes. This isn't some hastily thrown-together operation. Which means Volkov had this planned as a fallback position. Which means—" Marcus's phone buzzed. "Morrison. You've got federal surveillance inbound. Drones already overhead. They're confirming 6 hostiles outside, estimated 8 to 10 inside. And they've got heat signatures in the basement that match a human female in distress. Elena." "That's your hostage's name, Elena Reyes?" "Yes, sir." "Then you should know the feds are prepping a tactical team. ETA 90 minutes. They're going to breach and extract." 90 minutes is too long. Volkov's smart. He's got to know we're closing in. He'll execute her and disappear before they arrive. Then what are you suggesting? Give me 30 minutes. Let me get inside, locate Elena, and create an opening for the federal team. I can be your advanced scout. That's not protocol. Sir, with respect, protocol is what gets hostages killed. You taught me that in Fallujah. Remember the compound raid? When we had to move fast before they executed those aid workers? Morrison cursed. If you get yourself killed, I'm going to be very angry with you. Noted, sir. 30 minutes. You hear sirens, you extract immediately and let the professionals clean up. Understood. Yes, sir. Marcus hung up and looked at Mercer. We've got 30 minutes. You ready? I've been ready since that bastard killed my men. Let's go get your girl. They moved like shadows. Titan took point, his training from dozens of combat deployments guiding them past the first 2 guards without detection. Marcus used hand signals, the old familiar language of tactical operations that transcended words. The south entrance was rusted but unlocked. They slipped inside immediately, hit by the overwhelming smell of decay and salt. The interior was a maze of conveyor belts processing tanks and rusted machinery. Basement access is through the main floor, Mercer whispered. But we've got hostiles between us and... A door opened 20 feet ahead. A guard emerged, talking on a radio in Russian. He saw them. His eyes went wide. His hand went for his weapon. Titan was faster. The dog launched silently 90 pounds of trained fury, hitting the man before he could shout a warning. Marcus was there a second later, his knife finishing what Titan had started. The guard went down without a sound. Radio! Mercer hissed. He grabbed the device, switching to the Russian channel. Voices were chattering. Countdown. 15 minutes until extraction. Basement secure. Package ready for disposal. They're going to kill her, Marcus said. 15 minutes. Then we move now. Forget stealth. We go loud. Marcus pulled the pins on 2 flashbangs. On 3. We hit the basement entrance hard. I go for Elena. You cover my 6. What about Volkov? If he's there, I'll deal with him. If not, we extract Elena and hunt him later. Her life is priority 1. You're a good man, SEAL. Stupid but good. 3, 2, 1. They kicked in the basement door. Marcus threw both flashbangs down the stairs. The detonation was deafening. Shouts of confusion erupted from below. Marcus didn't wait. He charged down the stairs, weapon up, Titan at his heels. The basement was a nightmare of hanging chains and blood-stained concrete. 3 guards were stumbling, disoriented by the flashbang. Marcus took down the first 2 with precise shots. Center mass, no hesitation. The third brought his weapon up. Mercer's shot took him in the shoulder, spinning him. Titan finished the job. And there, in the corner, chained to a pipe, was Elena. Her face was bruised, her clothes torn. But her eyes were fierce, defiant. When she saw Marcus, something broke in her expression. Sophia. She's safe. I've got you. Marcus was already working on the chains using bolt cutters Mercer had grabbed from a tool bench. "We're getting you out of here." "Volkov, he's here. He's upstairs. He said—" Elena's voice cracked. "He said when he comes back, he's going to make me watch a video of Sophia dying before he kills me." Marcus felt cold rage settling into his bones. "He's not going to touch her. He's not going to touch you. Not while I'm breathing." The chain snapped. Elena collapsed forward. Marcus caught her. "Can you walk?" "I can run. Get me out of here. Get me to my daughter." They were halfway up the stairs when automatic weapons fire erupted from the main floor. Mercer cursed. "They've mobilized. We're cut off." Marcus could hear boots pounding, shouts in Russian. The perimeter guards were converging on their position. "Back door," Mercer said. "Loading dock exit. It's our only chance." They ran through the maze of machinery, Elena between them. Titan clearing corners with his nose and his instincts. Behind them, the pursuit was organized, methodical. These weren't panicked amateurs. They were trained operators executing a search pattern. The loading dock door was sealed, rusted. Mercer put 3 rounds into the lock. It didn't budge. "Move!" Marcus grabbed a piece of rebar and used it as a lever. The metal screamed but didn't give. "They're coming!" Elena grabbed a wrench from the floor. Together they pried at the door. It shifted. 1 inch, 2 inches. Gunfire erupted behind them. Rounds sparked off machinery. "Titan Deckung," Marcus commanded. The dog pressed himself flat behind a concrete pillar, making himself a smaller target. The door was open enough. "Go, go, go!" Marcus shoved Elena through the gap. Mercer followed. Marcus grabbed Titan and literally threw the dog through, then squeezed after them. They were out. In the open. 50 yards to the tree line. "Run!" Behind them, the loading dock door was being wrenched open. Shouts. More gunfire. They were 20 yards from the trees when Marcus heard it, the distinctive sound of a helicopter. But not from the plant. From the south. Federal response. "Get down." He tackled Elena, covering her body with his as the helicopter roared overhead. Federal tactical operators were fast roping down, hitting the ground with military precision. "Contact, contact, multiple hostiles." The federal team leader's voice boomed over a loudspeaker. "Drop your weapons. This is the FBI." The hostiles from the plant were caught in the open. Some tried to fight, most tried to run. It was over in 90 seconds, a textbook federal raid that would be studied in training academies for years. But Volkov wasn't among the captured. Agent Cross emerged from one of the federal vehicles, her face tight with fury. "Dawson, what the hell did you think you were doing, saving her life while you were filing paperwork?" Marcus stood up, helping Elena to her feet. "You're welcome, by the way. You contaminated a federal crime scene. You—" Cross stopped seeing Elena's condition. Her expression softened slightly. "Mrs. Reyes, are you injured?" "I'm alive, thanks to him." Elena's hand found Marcus's. "Where's Sophia? Where's my daughter?" "She's safe, at the sheriff's station with protective detail." Cross pulled out her phone. "I'll have someone bring her here." "No." Marcus's voice was hard. "Volkov's still out there. He wasn't in the plant, which means he's already moving to his next target. We've got every road blocked. You're not listening. Volkov's not leaving, not yet. He's too professional to run with loose ends." Marcus looked at Elena. "He told you he was going to make you watch Sophia die. That wasn't just psychological torture. That was his actual plan. He needs you both dead to close this operation." Cross's face paled. "Are you saying—" "I'm saying he's going after Sophia, right now." Marcus was already running for his truck. Mercer and Titan followed. Behind them, Cross was screaming orders into her radio. But Marcus knew they'd be too late. Volkov was a ghost. He'd already anticipated federal response. He'd already planned his final move. and that move was a little girl protected by a small-town sheriff and a handful of deputies who'd never faced anyone like him. Marcus pushed his truck to 80 miles an hour on the coastal highway. Beside him, Elena was calling Sophia on Navarro's phone. It rang and rang and rang, no answer. "Try again," Marcus said. She did, still no answer. Maybe they're just busy. Maybe... Marcus's encrypted phone buzzed. Text from Isaiah, who was supposedly still in the hospital. "Security cameras at Sheriff Station just went dark. All of them. Same time. That's not a glitch. That's a hack." Marcus's blood turned to ice. He floored the accelerator. They were 10 minutes out when his phone rang. Unknown number. He answered on speaker. "Mr. Dawson?" Volkov's calm voice filled the truck. "I believe you have something of mine, and I have something of yours. Perhaps we can arrange an exchange." "You son of a..." Such anger. So undisciplined. This is why you Americans always lose in the long game. You're too emotional. You make it personal. "Where is she?" "The girl, she's here, with me. She's been very brave, actually. Hasn't cried. Not yet, but she will." Elena grabbed the phone. "If you hurt her, if you touch one hair on her head..." "Mrs. Reyes, I was wondering when you'd make an appearance. The federal team was quite efficient in their rescue. Congratulations. But you understand this changes nothing. Your husband discovered information that threatens a multi-billion-dollar operation. You and your daughter represent unacceptable risk. This has to end." "What do you want?" Marcus asked. "Simple. You, the mercenary, Mrs. Reyes. Come to the original location, her house. Come alone. No federal agents, no backup. And I'll consider allowing the child to live." "You're lying." "Perhaps. But are you willing to take that chance?" "You have 30 minutes, Mr. Dawson. If I see federal vehicles, if I see helicopters, if I even suspect you've involved the authorities, I'll kill her. Not quickly, but creatively. Do you understand?" "I understand." "Good. Oh, and Mr. Dawson, bring the dog. I've heard so much about him. It would be a shame if he missed the finale." The line went dead. Elena was crying silently, her whole body shaking. "He's going to kill us all anyway. You know that." "Yeah." Marcus's jaw was set. "I know." "So why go?" "Because there's a chance, a small one, and because I promised Sophia I'd bring you home." He looked at Elena. "I keep my promises." Mercer spoke from the back seat. "You've got a plan, right? Please tell me you've got a plan." "Working on it," Marcus called Isaiah. "Please tell me you're not actually in surgery." "Discharged myself an hour ago. I'm mobile, barely. What do you need?" "Everything you've got. Drones, cameras, electronic warfare capabilities. Volkov's holding Sophia at the Reyes property. He wants a meet in 30 minutes. "That's a trap." "Obviously. Which is why I need you to be my eyes and ears. Can you do it?" "I can be there in 20 minutes. But Marcus, if he's as good as we think, he'll be watching for exactly this kind of thing." "Then be invisible. You're a ghost prophet. Show me why they call you that." He hung up and looked at Elena. "When we get there, you stay in the truck, no matter what happens." "Absolutely not. That's my daughter." "Which is exactly why you stay in the truck. Sophia needs at least one parent to survive this. If something happens to me, if this goes wrong, you drive away. You get to safety. You raise your daughter. You make sure she remembers her father was a hero and her mother never gave up. I can't lose both of you. You won't, but I need you to trust me. Can you do that?" Elena looked at him, really looked at him, at this man who'd stumbled into her life 48 hours ago and turned it upside down. This man who'd risked everything for people he barely knew. This man who'd made promises to her daughter and actually kept them. "Yes," she whispered. "I trust you." They pulled up to Elena's property with 10 minutes to spare. The house looked quiet, peaceful. But Marcus knew better. Volkov was there, watching, waiting. His phone buzzed. "Isaiah. I'm in position. I've got drone coverage. Thermal imaging shows 5 heat signatures inside the house. One small, that's Sophia. 4 adult. Volkov brought back up. Marcus texted back. Can you confirm weapons? All armed. Rifles. And Marcus. One of them has a dead man's switch. Some kind of explosive device. If he goes down, the whole house goes up. Perfect. Not only was this a trap, it was a suicide trap. Marcus looked at Mercer. You don't have to do this. Yes, I do. Those bastards killed my men. Time to settle accounts. Mercer checked his weapon. Besides, I like the kid. She's got spirit. They walked toward the house, weapons holstered, hands visible. Titan padded beside Marcus, every muscle in the dog's body tense but controlled. The front door opened. Volkov stood there, a slight smile on his ordinary face. Behind him, Sophia was visible, sitting in a chair, hands zip-tied, eyes wide with fear, but not crying. Mr. Dawson, so punctual. And you brought friends. How delightful. Let her go. She's just a child. She's a witness, a liability, an unfortunate casualty of business. Volkov stepped aside. Please come in. Let's discuss terms like civilized people. Marcus entered the house that he'd defended 3 days ago. The house where Sophia had first met Titan. The house where this whole nightmare had started. Now then, Volkov said, closing the door behind them. His 3 associates appeared from other rooms, weapons raised. Let's begin the negotiations. Or rather, the execution. I haven't quite decided which. And in that moment, as Marcus stood facing down a professional killer who held all the cards, he realized something critical. Volkov had made one fatal error. He'd underestimated what a desperate man with nothing to lose could do. And he'd forgotten that sometimes the most dangerous weapon wasn't training or tactics or firepower. Sometimes it was simply refusing to quit. Marcus kept his hands visible, his breathing controlled. Volkov's 3 operatives had positioned themselves perfectly overlapping fields of fire, no blind spots. Professional. Deadly. The one on the left held a small device in his non-firing hand. The dead man's switch Isaiah had warned about. You know how this ends, Volkov said conversationally, as if discussing the weather. I've already won. The only variable is how much pain everyone experiences before the inevitable conclusion. Sophia whimpered. Her eyes found Marcus. You promised, she whispered. You pinky promised. I know, sweetheart, and I'm going to keep it. Volkov laughed. Such confidence. Such American bravado. Tell me, Mr. Dawson, how many children have you failed to save in your career? How many promises have you broken? Marcus felt the old guilt trying to claw its way up his throat. The mission in Kandahar. The village. The children who'd died because he'd been 30 seconds too late. More than I can count. Then why do you persist in making promises you cannot keep? Because sometimes you keep them. Sometimes you're fast enough, smart enough, lucky enough. And that one time makes all the failures worth it. How philosophical, and how useless. Volkov pulled out his phone. I'm going to show you something now. A video. Your federal friends raiding the fish processing plant. Efficient. Professional. But they missed something. He turned the phone toward Marcus. The video showed federal agents securing the perimeter, loading suspects into vehicles. And in the background, barely visible, a figure slipping into the water, swimming away underwater. I was never at the plant, Volkov said. That was insurance, a distraction. While you were playing hero, I was already here, already setting the trap you've walked into. Marcus's phone buzzed in his pocket. He didn't dare reach for it. Answer it, Volkov said. I insist. Put it on speaker. Marcus slowly pulled out his phone. It was Isaiah. Marcus, don't react to what I'm about to say. The explosive device, it's not in the house. It's under Elena's truck. Volkov parked it right over a pressure-sensitive IED. If she tries to drive away, if she even gets out of the truck wrong, it detonates. Marcus's blood went cold. Elena was sitting in a bomb. You look pale, Mr. Dawson, Volkov observed. Bad news. You bastard. She's got nothing to do with this. On the contrary, she has everything to do with this. Her husband discovered our operation. She inherited his knowledge. And the child, Volkov looked at Sophia with something like regret. The child is simply unfortunate collateral. If her father had minded his own business, she'd be at school right now worried about spelling tests and playground politics. Let her go. You want me, fine. Let Sophia go and I'll surrender. No fight, no resistance. Touching. But no. You see, I don't just need you dead. I need a message sent. The Obsidian Syndicate does not tolerate interference. Anyone who threatens our operations meets the same fate, thorough, complete erasure. You, the mother, the child. A tragic house fire. Gas leak, perhaps. The kind of accident that makes the news for one day and then vanishes. The feds know about you. They know about the syndicate. What they know and what they can prove are very different things. By tomorrow, I'll be on a plane to Cyprus. By next week, I'll have a new identity. And this town, it will remember the tragic death of a widow and her child killed by a disturbed veteran who went off his medication. Volkov smiled. I've already planted the evidence. Your cabin. Disturbing writings, paranoid delusions, PTSD documentation. It's all quite believable. Marcus felt rage building in his chest. Not the hot explosive kind that made men stupid, the cold focused kind that made them dangerous. You've thought of everything. I always do. It's why I'm still alive after 20 years in this business. Volkov checked his watch. Now I believe we've talked long enough. Time for... The window exploded inward. Not from gunfire, from Titan. The dog had circled the house using the open kitchen window Marcus had deliberately left unlatched 2 days ago when he'd helped Elena install new locks. Isaiah had guided him via remote signal, a high-frequency tone only Titan could hear. The dog hit Volkov like a freight train. The Russian went down, his weapon clattering away. Chaos erupted instantly. Marcus moved. Not toward Volkov, toward Sophia. He grabbed the chair she was bound to and yanked it backward using his body as a shield as gunfire erupted. Mercer had already engaged the operative on the right, the two of them locked in brutal close-quarters combat. The operative with the dead man's switch hesitated. His orders were probably to detonate if things went wrong, but Volkov was on the ground with a dog tearing at him. Hesitation cost him. Marcus kicked the chair into the man's legs, sending him sprawling. The device flew from his hand. Marcus dove for it. His fingers closed around it just as the third operative's shot took him in the shoulder. White-hot pain exploded through his body. He rolled still, clutching the device, and came up firing with his free hand. 2 shots. Both center mass. The operative went down. But Marcus was bleeding. His left arm was useless. And Volkov had finally thrown Titan off, grabbing the dog by the throat with hands that knew exactly where to apply lethal pressure. "Aus!" Marcus screamed. The dog released his bite and twisted away, but Volkov had his weapon back now. He aimed at Titan. Sophia screamed, "No!" The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. But it wasn't Volkov who fired. It was Mercer. The mercenary had finished his opponent and put a round into Volkov's weapon hand. The gun spun away. Volkov clutched his shattered hand, his face finally showing emotion. Pain, fury, disbelief. "You're done," Marcus said, still holding the dead man's switch in his good hand. "It's over." "Is it?" Volkov's smile returned, despite his pain. "You're holding a trigger you don't dare release. The woman outside is sitting on a bomb. The house is surrounded by my people. And even if you somehow survive the next 5 minutes, the syndicate will send someone else. And someone after that. This never ends, Mr. Dawson. Not for you. Not for them." "Maybe not," Marcus said. "But it ends for you." He looked at Sophia, still zip-tied to the chair, her eyes huge with terror. At Mercer, bleeding from a dozen wounds but still standing. At Titan, whose shoulder was bleeding again, who should have stayed down but wouldn't because that's what good soldiers did. And he made a decision. Prophet. He said into his open phone line, "Tell Agent Cross to move in. All units. Now." Marcus, the bomb. Tell Elena to get out of the truck. Carefully. Tell her to move away slowly. You've got enough tech to guide her step by step. Do it now. On it. Volkov laughed. You're giving up your leverage. The moment you release that trigger. I'm not releasing it. Marcus tossed the device to Mercer. He is, while I deal with you. Marcus set the device down and moved toward Volkov. The Russian backed away, cradling his destroyed hand. You're bleeding. You're wounded. You can't. Marcus hit him. One solid punch to the jaw that sent Volkov reeling. That's for Elena. Another punch. That's for Sophia. A third. And that's for every person you've hurt, every life you've destroyed, every family you've torn apart. Volkov went down hard. Marcus stood over him, fists clenched, breathing hard. Every instinct screamed to keep hitting to make this man pay for everything he'd done. But Sophia's small voice stopped him. Mr. Marcus, is it over? Can you untie me now? The rage drained away. Marcus turned to see the little girl sitting there, still brave, still trusting him despite everything. He pulled out his knife and cut her zip ties. Sophia threw her arms around his neck. You kept your promise. You came back. Always, sweetheart. Always. The front door exploded inward. Federal agents swarmed in weapons-raised voices shouting commands. Agent Cross appeared, taking in the scene. 4 operatives downed Volkov on the floor, bleeding, Marcus holding a crying child. Clear the house, Cross ordered. Then to Marcus, is she hurt? No, scared, but not hurt. Marcus handed Sophia to a female agent. Get her somewhere safe. Get her to her mother. The mother, Mrs. Reyes, your tech guy, guided her away from the vehicle. Bomb squad's disarming the IED now. Cross looked at Volkov. And this piece of garbage is finally in custody. Volkov, being hauled to his feet by 2 agents, met Marcus's eyes. This isn't over. You understand that the syndicate is going to find its operations disrupted, Cross interrupted. Turns out your friend Isaiah Cole's files were quite comprehensive. We've already frozen 18 accounts, issued 47 warrants, and arrested 12 syndicate operatives in 3 countries. Whatever network you had, it's burning down right now. For the first time, real fear crossed Volkov's face. You don't understand. If I fail, if I'm captured, they'll do nothing, Cross said. Because you're going to tell us everything. Every name, every operation, every dirty secret. And in exchange, we might put you somewhere they can't reach you. They dragged him away, still protesting. Marcus sagged against the wall, his wounded shoulder screaming. A paramedic appeared, trying to check his injuries. He waved them off. Where's Elena? Outside, with her daughter. Cross looked at him. You should go, before I have to arrest you for the 17 laws you broke today. 18. Mercer corrected from the corner where another paramedic was working on his leg. He lied about federal authorization. That's number 18. Thanks for that, Marcus muttered. He walked out into the morning light. The sun was fully up now, burning through the coastal fog. Elena was standing by a federal vehicle holding Sophia, both of them crying. When Sophia saw Marcus, she broke free from her mother and ran to him. You did it. You saved us. You and Titan saved us. The dog limped over, tail wagging despite his injuries. Sophia dropped to her knees and hugged him fiercely. Good boy. You're such a good boy. Elena approached more slowly. Her eyes were red, her face pale, but she was smiling. Thank you doesn't even begin to cover it. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. You walked into hell for us, multiple times. You risked your life for people you barely know. She reached out, touched his good shoulder gently. Why did you do all this? Marcus looked at Sophia, who was whispering secrets to Titan. At this little girl who'd lost her father and almost lost her mother. At this family that had been torn apart by greed and violence. Because I spent 5 years fighting wars overseas, fighting people who wanted to hurt innocents. And I came home thinking I was done, thinking I could just disappear and forget. He met Elena's eyes. But I was wrong. The fight doesn't end. It just changes location. And sometimes the most important battles are the ones in your own backyard protecting the people right in front of you. Elena's smile widened. Then she did something that surprised him. She hugged him. Not carefully, not tentatively, but with the fierce gratitude of someone who'd been saved from death. "You're bleeding on me," she whispered. "Sorry." "Don't be." She pulled back, wiping tears. "What happens now?" "Now you take Sophia somewhere safe. You rebuild. You heal. You remember your husband as a hero who died trying to do the right thing. And you make sure his daughter grows up knowing that good people exist, that heroes are real, that promises can be kept. What about you? What will you do?" Marcus looked at the house, Elena's house bought with her husband's love and sacrifice. At the ocean beyond, wild and beautiful and dangerous. At the town that had fought back against corruption. "I don't know yet. I came here to hide, to recover. But I think maybe—" He paused, searching for the words. "Maybe recovery isn't about hiding. Maybe it's about finding something worth fighting for again." Sophia tugged on his jacket. "Does that mean you're staying in Redwood Shores?" "Maybe, for a while." "Good." She took his hand. "Because Titan lights it here. And I think you do too. And my mommy—" She looked up at Elena with a child's complete lack of subtlety. "My mommy smiles when you're around. She doesn't smile much anymore, but she does with you." Elena's face turned red. "Sophia." "What? It's true." Marcus couldn't help but smile. Despite everything, the gunfights, the wounds, the terror, this little girl was worried about her mother's happiness. Sheriff Navarro approached her uniform dusty, her expression exhausted. "Mr. Dawson, the federal agents want statements from everyone. It's going to be a long day of paperwork." "Looking forward to it," Marcus said dryly. "I bet." Navarro smiled slightly. "For what it's worth, Miguel Reyes was my friend. What you did protecting his family, he'd be grateful. The whole town is grateful. I didn't do it for gratitude." "I know. That's what makes it mean something." She tipped her hat to Elena. "Mrs. Reyes, we'll need you and Sophia to come to the station. Just formalities. CPS has already dropped. Their investigation turns out Councilman Warren's been arrested for corruption and fraud. Funny how that works." Elena's face lit up. "Warren's arrested. Along with the mayor and 3 other council members, Agent Cross's team found evidence of the whole conspiracy. By the end of the week, this town's going to need a new government." Navarro looked at the gathered townsfolk, Jed the fisherman, Mara Chen, the reporter, dozens of others who'd come out to see the finale of the battle for Redwood Shores. "But I think we'll manage. This town's got fight in it. We just needed to be reminded." Over the next hour, Marcus gave his statement to 3 different federal agents. He answered the same questions a dozen times. He watched as Volkov and his surviving operatives were loaded into armored vehicles and driven away. He saw Isaiah, still pale from blood loss, but grinning, get loaded into an ambulance for proper treatment. "You're insane, brother," Isaiah said as they wheeled him past. "Completely insane. But I'm proud to serve with you." "You didn't serve with me. You were on medical leave, remember?" "Right. Medical leave. During which I accidentally hacked several government databases, operated military-grade surveillance equipment, and coordinated a tactical operation. All completely accidentally." "Exactly. Accident. No court in the world would convict you." "Let's hope not, because I really don't look good in orange." Mercer was the last to leave. The mercenary was being escorted by federal agents, not quite under arrest, but not quite free either. He caught Marcus's eye as they walked him to a vehicle. "So, we still enemies?" Marcus considered. I don't know. Are we? You saved my life, I saved yours. You helped me avenge my men. I helped you save your girl, sorry the girl, not yours, obviously. Mercer grinned. I'm thinking we're complicated. Complicated I can live with. Good. Because I got a feeling you and I are going to cross paths again. This world's too small and too messed up for two operators like us not to. He offered his hand. Until next time, SEAL. Marcus shook it. Until next time. By afternoon, the chaos had finally subsided. The federal agents were packing up. The media trucks, which had multiplied exponentially, were getting their final shots. And Marcus found himself sitting on Elena's porch, Titan's head in his lap, watching Sophia play with a ball in the yard. Elena brought him coffee. Paramedics said you need to go to the hospital. That shoulder wound could get infected. I've had worse. That's not comforting. She sat beside him. The federal prosecutor wants me to testify. Against Volkov. Against the syndicate. They're building a massive RICO case. Will you? Yes. Elena's voice was firm. Miguel died trying to expose them. I'm going to finish what he started. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what they did, what they are. That's dangerous. The syndicate has a long reach. So did Volkov, and you stopped him. She looked at Marcus. I'm not brave like you. I'm terrified. But I have to do this. For Miguel. For Sophia. For every other family they might destroy. You're braver than you think. No, I'm just too stubborn to quit. Elena smiled slightly. I wonder where Sophia gets it from. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the little girl play. Watching normalcy slowly return to a house that had seen too much violence. Marcus. Elena's voice was soft. Earlier, Sophia asked if you were staying. You said maybe. Did you mean it? I don't know. I came here to be alone. To recover. To figure out who I am when I'm not in a war zone. He looked at her. But I think maybe I already figured it out. I'm someone who protects people. That's who I am. That's who I'll always be. The only question is where and how. What if I asked you to stay? Not as a bodyguard, not as a protector, just as someone who could have coffee on the porch in the morning. Someone Sophia could look up to. Someone who... She trailed off, blushing. Marcus felt something shift in his chest. Something that had been frozen since Kandahar. Since he'd lost his team. Since he'd forgotten what it felt like to have something to come home to. Are you asking me to stay, Elena? I'm asking you to think about it. No pressure, no expectations. Just think about it. She stood up. I need to get Sophia ready. We're having dinner with the sheriff tonight. Town council wants to honor us or something. Very awkward. But I think we should go. You should. Will you come? To the dinner? Marcus looked at Sophia, who'd stopped playing and was watching them with obvious interest. Will she be there? Of course. Then I'll be there. Elena's smile could have lit up the whole coast. Good. It's at 7. Don't be late. She walked into the yard, scooping up Sophia, who squealed and laughed. Marcus watched them mother and daughter survivors fighters in their own right. And he thought about Elena's question. Stay. Build a life. Be part of something bigger than just the next mission. Could he do that? Could he let himself be happy after everything he'd lost? His phone buzzed. Captain Morrison. Hawk, heard you had quite the adventure. That's one word for it, sir. Agent Cross sent me her after-action report. Reads like a Tom Clancy novel. Hostage rescue, multiple firefights, stopping an international criminal organization. Morrison paused. She also said you demonstrated exceptional courage and tactical skill, and that you're a pain in the ass who doesn't follow orders. That sounds accurate, sir. The Navy wants you back, Hawk. Full active duty. They're offering you a promotion. Team leader position. You'd be training the next generation of SEALs. Marcus felt the pull of it. The familiar structure, the clear mission, the brotherhood. But he also felt Sophia's small hand in his. Heard her voice saying, "You promised." Saw Elena's grateful smile. "Can I have some time to think about it, sir?" "You've got 2 weeks. After that, I need an answer." Morrison's voice softened. "For what it's worth. Whatever you decide, I'm proud of you. You reminded me why we do this job. Not for the glory, not for the medals, but for people like that little girl and her mother. You did good, Hawk." "Thank you, sir." He hung up and looked at Titan. "What do you think, boy Navy? Or this?" Titan's tail thumped once. The dog looked toward Sophia, who was waving at them from the yard. "Yeah," Marcus said quietly. "That's what I thought too." He stood up, wincing as his wounded shoulder protested. The pain would heal. The scars would remain. But maybe scars weren't weakness. Maybe they were proof you'd survived, proof you'd fought for something worth fighting for. The sun was setting over the Pacific, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. The same ocean that had brought smugglers and criminals to Redwood shores now looked peaceful, beautiful, full of possibility. Marcus Dawson had come here to hide from his past, to escape the memories that haunted him. Instead, he'd found something he'd lost in the dust and blood of foreign wars. He'd found a reason to believe in tomorrow. And as Sophia ran toward him, shouting about the dinner, and asking if Titan could come too, Marcus realized something fundamental had changed. He wasn't running anymore. He wasn't hiding. He was home. 3 months later, Marcus stood in the doorway of what had been his rental cabin, now his permanent residence. The lease had turned into a purchase, a decision that still surprised him some mornings when he woke up and realized he'd chosen to stay. Sophia was in the yard with Titan teaching the dog a new trick she'd invented. Something involving rolling over and playing dead that was more comedy than actual training. Elena sat on the porch steps grading papers she'd started teaching marine biology at the community college, carrying on Miguel's legacy in a way that honored his memory without being consumed by it. "Mr. Marcus," Sophia called, "watch this Titan play dead." The dog looked at Marcus as if to say, "Seriously," but then dutifully flopped over, tongue lolling dramatically. Sophia clapped her hands in delight. "That's great, sweetheart," Marcus called back. But his attention was on his phone. Isaiah had just sent a message. "Need to talk. Urgent. Not safe over phone." Marcus's gut tightened. 3 months of peace. 3 months of normalcy. He should have known it couldn't last. "Elena, can you watch Sophia for a bit? I need to check something." Elena looked up from her papers, concern immediately flickering across her face. She'd learned to read him too well in the past months. "Is everything okay?" "Probably. Just Isaiah being paranoid." He smiled, trying to ease her worry. "I'll be back in an hour. 2 at most." But as he drove into town, his instincts were screaming. Something was wrong. Isaiah was waiting at the Salty Spoon Diner, sitting in the back booth with his laptop and what looked like a week's worth of stress on his face. His shoulder was healed, but he favored it unconsciously when he moved. "Tell me," Marcus said, sliding into the booth. "Volkov's dead." Marcus felt ice water replace his blood. "What bow? Federal Supermax in Colorado, 3 days ago. They're calling it suicide. Hung himself with a bedsheet." Isaiah's fingers flew across his keyboard. "But look at this. I hacked the prison security footage. Watch his cell the night before." The video showed Volkov in his cell pacing. Then the camera flickered. Just for 2 seconds. When it came back, Volkov was lying on his bunk perfectly still. That flicker, that's a professional hack job. Someone looped the footage. During those 2 seconds, someone got into his cell, and 12 hours later, he's found hanging. Isaiah looked up. This wasn't suicide, Marcus. This was an execution. The syndicate. They silenced him before he could testify. And brother, that's not the worst part. Isaiah pulled up another file. 2 days after Volkov died, Elena's name appeared on a syndicate watch list. Someone leaked her identity as a federal witness. She's been marked. Marcus felt rage and fear warring in his chest. How long do we have? I don't know. Could be days, could be hours. They're not going to make the same mistakes Volkov made. They won't send a small team. They'll send professionals, the kind who don't fail. Then we move her. Witness protection, federal safe house, whatever it takes. Already tried? Agent Cross says the paperwork's being held up. Some bureaucratic nonsense about jurisdiction and testimony schedules. She's fighting it, but it could take a week. We don't have a week. Isaiah closed his laptop. No, we don't. Marcus pulled out his phone and called Sheriff Navarro. I need a favor. A big one. 20 minutes later, Marcus was back at Elena's house. She took one look at his face and sent Sophia inside to play with Titan. What's wrong? Volkov's dead, murdered in federal custody, and someone leaked your identity to the syndicate. You're in danger. Elena's face went pale. Sophia. She's safe for now. They'll come for you first. Make it look like an accident, then move on to her later. Marcus took her hands. Elena, I need you to trust me. We have to leave, tonight. All of us. We go somewhere off the grid until the feds can secure proper protection. Where? I have a friend. Former SEAL. He runs a private security compound in Montana. We can be there in 12 hours. They won't find us. Elena looked at her house, the home she'd shared with Miguel, the life she'd been trying to rebuild. I'm so tired of running, of being scared. I know, but Sophia needs you alive. And that means running one more time. She nodded slowly. How long do we have to pack? 30 minutes. Essentials only. But as Elena went inside, Marcus's phone buzzed. A number he didn't recognize. Against his better judgment, he answered. Mr. Dawson. The voice was female-cultured with a faint European accent. My name is Katerina Volkov. Alexei was my brother. Marcus's hand tightened on the phone. I'm sorry for your loss. Are you? Because from where I stand, you destroyed my brother's life. You exposed our organization. You cost us millions. Her voice was cold, clinical. The syndicate wants Mrs. Reyes eliminated quietly. But I want something different. I want her to suffer. I want her to watch her daughter die. And then I want you to watch her die knowing you failed to protect them. You come near them and you'll what kill me perhaps. But I'm not coming personally, Mr. Dawson. I've hired someone special. Someone you know, actually. Someone with a grudge. The line went dead. Marcus immediately called Isaiah. I just got a threat. Direct, from Volkov's sister. She's hired someone I know. Someone with a grudge. Who could that be? Wait, let me check something. Keyboard sounds. Oh no. Marcus, remember Cade Mercer? Yeah, the mercenary who helped us. We left on good terms. You left on good terms, but 3 of his men died during the Marina assault, and apparently their families blamed him. They sued. He lost everything, his company, his reputation, his money. And according to intercepts I'm picking up. Isaiah's voice went grim. He just landed at the regional airport, 2 hours ago, with a team of 6. Marcus felt betrayal like a knife between his ribs. Mercer, the man who'd fought beside him, who'd saved his life. He's working for the syndicate now. Looks like it. Or maybe just for money. Does it matter? No, I guess it doesn't. Marcus looked at the house where Elena was packing, where Sophia was playing with Titan, oblivious to the danger closing in. How much time? If Mercer's team is as good as I think they're probably already positioning, we need to move now. Marcus ran inside. Elena, change of plans. We're leaving right now. But as he entered the living room, he stopped cold. Sophia was standing by the window, Titan growling low beside her. And outside, vehicles were pulling up. 3 SUVs. Black. Professional. Mommy. Sophia's voice was small, scared. Are those the bad men again? Elena appeared with a half-packed bag, saw the vehicles, and grabbed Sophia. Marcus. Basement. Now. Both of you. Marcus pulled his weapon from its holster. Titan Bawakan. The dog positioned himself at the basement door as Elena and Sophia scrambled down the stairs. Marcus's phone rang. Mercer. Don't answer that door, Seal. We just want to talk. Like hell you do. Okay, fine. We want to kill you and take the woman and kid. But can you blame me? 3 of my men died because of you. 3 good soldiers with families. And then I got sued into bankruptcy defending myself for helping you. So when Katerina Volkov offered me $5 million to finish what her brother started, I took it. Nothing personal. Everything about this is personal. Fair point. Here's the deal. You surrender. Come out with your hands up. We'll make it quick for you. Painless. And we'll let the woman and kid live for another 24 hours. Give them time to say goodbye, pray, whatever. Or you fight and we burn the house down with all of you in it. Your choice. Marcus looked at the basement door, at the 2 people sheltering below who'd trusted him to keep them safe. He'd made a promise, a pinky promise to a little girl who'd already lost her father. What's it going to be? Mercer asked. Option 3, Marcus said. I kill you and anyone stupid enough to follow you, and then I spend the rest of my life hunting down Katerina Volkov and everyone connected to the syndicate. That's my counteroffer. Mercer laughed. I always liked you, Seal. Shame it has to end this way. The first breaching charge blew the front door off its hinges. Marcus was already moving, using the smoke and chaos for cover. He fired 3 shots through the doorway, suppressing fire, keeping them honest. Then he fell back to the hallway. His phone buzzed. Isaiah. I've called everyone. Sheriff's coming, FBI's coming, but they're 20 minutes out. Can you hold that long? Marcus looked at his ammunition. 3 magazines, maybe 60 rounds total, against 6 professional operators with unlimited supplies. I'll hold, he texted back. The gunfight that followed was brutal and desperate. Mercer's team tried to push through the front door. Marcus held them off with precise shooting and the narrow hallway that funneled their attack. But they were learning his patterns, adjusting their tactics. You can't win, Dawson, Mercer called from outside. We've got all day. You've got limited ammunition. Do the math. Marcus didn't waste breath responding. He was counting shots, calculating angles, trying to think 3 moves ahead. But Mercer was right. This was a siege he couldn't win. Then Sophia's voice came from the basement stairs. Mr. Marcus, I have an idea. Sophia, get back down. No, listen, Daddy's research room. The one you and Mommy looked at. There's a tunnel. He built it for emergencies. It goes under the yard and comes out at the cliffs, by the sea caves. Marcus stared at her. A tunnel. You never mentioned a tunnel. I forgot about it. Daddy made me promise not to tell anyone. He said it was our special secret, but I think we need it now. Elena appeared behind Sophia. Miguel was paranoid about fires, about being trapped. He spent 2 years digging that tunnel by hand. I thought he was crazy. Now I think he was brilliant. Can it fit all of us? It's tight, but yes. Marcus made a decision. Isaiah, he shouted into his phone. I need you to do something for me. I need noise, lots of noise. Every alarm, every siren, every loud thing you can trigger in this town, right now. On it. 30 seconds later, the town exploded with sound. Fire alarms, car alarms, the community center's emergency siren. Every electronic system Isaiah could hack, screaming at once. Mercer's team was disoriented by the chaos. Marcus used the moment. Move down to the research room now. They ran. Elena led the way to Miguel's old office, pushing aside a bookshelf to reveal a narrow opening in the wall. It's dark, it's tight, and it smells like mold, but it's escape. Elena first, then Sophia, then Titan. Marcus turned to face the hallway. I'll cover your retreat. Marcus, no. Go. I'm right behind you. Elena grabbed Sophia and disappeared into the tunnel. Titan followed, squeezing his bulk through the opening with difficulty. Marcus fired 3 more shots down the hallway, then followed them into the darkness. The tunnel was exactly as Elena had described. Narrow, damp, claustrophobic. Marcus had to crawl on his belly, dragging his wounded shoulder through mud and water. Behind him, he could hear Mercer's team entering the house, searching room by room. "They'll find the tunnel," Elena whispered ahead of him. "Then we move faster." They crawled for what felt like hours, but was probably 10 minutes. Sophia was crying silently, terrified of the dark and the tight space. Titan kept nudging her forward with his nose, encouraging her. Finally, they emerged a small opening hidden in the cliff face overlooking the ocean. The same sea caves where Miguel had discovered the syndicate's smuggling operation. The same caves that had started this whole nightmare. "Now what?" Elena asked. They were exposed on the cliff face, no cover, no weapons, except Marcus's pistol. "Now we wait for help. Sheriff's coming. FBI's coming. And Mercer. He'll find the tunnel exit eventually, but by then..." Gunfire erupted from above. Mercer's team had found them. Rounds sparked off the rocks around them. Marcus shoved Elena and Sophia toward the cave entrance. "Inside, get inside." They scrambled into the cave as bullets chewed up the ground behind them. Marcus returned fire 2 shots, making Mercer's people duck for cover. Then he followed his small family into the darkness. The cave system was extensive. Miguel's research maps had shown that. Multiple passages, dead ends, underground pools. It was a maze, which meant it was defendable. "Stay close," Marcus whispered. "Don't touch anything. Some of these caves have unstable ceilings." They moved deeper into the system, using Marcus's phone flashlight to navigate. Behind them, they could hear Mercer's team entering the caves, spreading out, hunting them. "This is insane," Elena whispered. "We're trapped underground with killers hunting us." "We're alive," Marcus corrected. "That's what matters." Sophia tugged on his shirt. "Mr. Marcus, I'm scared." "I know, sweetheart, but you're also brave. The bravest kid I know. Promise we'll be okay. Promise." Marcus looked at this child who'd already survived so much, who'd lost her father and nearly lost her mother, who kept asking him to promise things he couldn't guarantee. But he'd learned something in the past 3 months. Sometimes promises weren't about certainty. They were about commitment. About refusing to quit even when the odds were impossible. "I promise," he said, "and I always keep my promises." They found a small chamber deep in the cave system, defensible with only one entrance. Marcus positioned himself at the opening, weapon ready. Elena and Sophia huddled together with Titan standing guard over them. The minutes crawled by. Marcus could hear Mercer's team searching, their voices echoing off the cave walls. They were getting closer. Then his phone buzzed. "Isaiah. Sheriff's at the house, FBI's en route. But they don't know you're in the caves. Should I tell them?" "No," Marcus typed back. "If they come in loud, it'll spook Mercer's team. Could start a firefight with us in the middle. Tell them to secure the perimeter. Nobody in or out. We'll wait." "How long can you hold?" "As long as it takes." But Mercer had found them. His voice echoed through the caves. "Dawson, I know you're in here, and I know you're running low on ammunition, so here's the new deal. You come out. Face me one-on-one, and I let the woman and kid walk, my word on it." Marcus didn't respond. "Come on, Seal, you and me hand to hand. Winner takes all. At least give them a fighting chance." Elena grabbed Marcus's arm. "Don't. He's lying. He'll kill you and then come for us anyway." "Probably." Marcus checked his pistol. 2 rounds left. 2 bullets between them and death. "Mr. Marcus," Sophia's small voice in the darkness. "What do we do?" Marcus looked at this child, this family, these people who'd become more important to him than his own survival. And he realized something fundamental. He'd spent his entire military career protecting strangers, people he'd never met, principles he believed in. But this was different. This was personal. This was family. and he would die before he let anything happen to them. "We fight," he said simply, "and we win." He stepped out of the chamber into the main passage. Mercer was there, standing 50 feet away, weapon lowered. His team was behind him, 6 shapes in the darkness. "So you came," Mercer said. "I wasn't sure you would." "I came. Now honor your word. Let them go." "Sure, after we finish this." Mercer set his weapon down. "Just you and me, like the old days." Marcus set his pistol down. "Like the old days." They moved toward each other slowly. Behind Mercer, his team was positioning. Marcus saw it. They weren't going to honor anything. The moment this fight ended, they'd execute everyone. "You know they're going to kill me anyway," Marcus said quietly. "Yeah, I know. Sorry. But $5 million buys a lot of forgiveness for my conscience." Mercer settled into a fighting stance. "For what it's worth, I respect you. You're a good man in a bad situation, but good men die just as easy as bad ones." "Not always." They clashed. It was brutal, skilled, desperate. Mercer was faster, younger, undamaged. Marcus was wounded, exhausted, running on nothing but willpower. They traded blows that would have dropped normal men. The cave echoed with the sounds of their combat. Marcus took a punch to his wounded shoulder and almost blacked out from the pain. Mercer followed up with a kick that sent him sprawling. He was losing. He could feel it. "Stay down," Mercer said, breathing hard. "Just stay down. Make it easy." Marcus tried to stand. Failed. His body was done. He had nothing left. Then he heard it. A low, rumbling growl from the darkness. Titan. The dog emerged from the chamber, teeth-bared body coiled. Elena appeared behind him, holding Marcus's dropped pistol and shaking hands. And Sophia. Brave, terrified Sophia stood beside her mother. "Don't," Elena said, aiming the weapon at Mercer. "Don't touch him again." Mercer laughed. "Lady, you don't even know how to hold that properly. You're not going to shoot anybody." "You're right," Elena said. Her hands were shaking so badly the gun was wavering. "I've never shot anyone in my life. I don't know what I'm doing. But my husband taught me something before he died. He said courage isn't about being fearless. It's about doing what's right even when you're terrified. And right now, I'm absolutely terrified. But I will pull this trigger if you take one more step toward him." Mercer looked at her. At the shaking weapon. At the determined set of her jaw. And for the first time, uncertainty crossed his face. That's when Sheriff Navarro's voice boomed through the caves. "Federal agents, drop your weapons. This is your only warning." Lights flooded the passage, tactical flashlights, dozens of them. Mercer's team was surrounded. The FBI had found a secondary entrance and come in quiet. Mercer's hands went up slowly. "Guess your friends came through after all." "Yeah." Marcus gasped, still on the ground. "They do that." Agent Cross appeared, weapon drawn. "Cade Mercer. You're under arrest for attempted murder, conspiracy, and about 40 other charges I'm going to enjoy reading to you." As federal agents swarmed the caves, cuffing Mercer and his team, Elena dropped the pistol and ran to Marcus. Sophia was right behind her. They collapsed together in a heap, wounded warrior, terrified mother, brave child, and loyal dog. "You kept your promise," Sophia whispered, tears streaming down her face. "You kept it." "Always will, sweetheart. Always will." 6 weeks later, Marcus stood on a different beach. Federal safe house in Oregon, 300 miles from Redwood Shores. Elena and Sophia had been relocated here temporarily while the FBI built its case against the syndicate. Katerina Volkov had been arrested in Switzerland, extradited, and was currently cooperating to avoid a death sentence. The war was over. Really over this time. Marcus's phone rang. "Captain Morrison." "Hawk. I need that answer. Navy wants to know if you're coming back." Marcus looked down the beach where Sophia was playing with Titan in the surf. where Elena was walking toward him, smiling that smile that made something warm bloom in his chest. "I'm not coming back, sir." "You sure this is a hell of an opportunity we're offering?" "I know, and I'm grateful, but I found something here, something more important than any mission or promotion." Marcus paused. "I found people worth protecting. I found a reason to be home instead of deployed. I found a family, sir. And I'm not giving that up." Morrison was quiet for a moment. "You know what, Hawk, I think that's exactly what you needed to find. Good luck. And thank you for your service." "Thank you, sir." He hung up as Elena reached him. "Was that your old commander?" "Yeah. Offering me my old life back." "What did you say?" "I said I already have the life I want." Marcus took her hand. "Elena, these past few months, even with all the danger and the fear, they've been the best of my life. You and Sophia, you gave me something I'd lost. Hope. Purpose. A reason to wake up in the morning that isn't about the next mission or the next threat." "Marcus, I know it's fast. I know we've been through hell, and maybe we're just trauma bonded or whatever the psychologists call it, but I don't care. I love you. I love Sophia. I love the life we're building, and if you'll have me, I want to keep building it. Together." Elena's eyes filled with tears. "You're asking me. I'm asking you to give me a chance, to let me be there, for both of you. Not as a bodyguard, not as protection, but as family." She kissed him, right there on the beach with the waves crashing and Sophia cheering in the background. When they finally broke apart, she was smiling through her tears. "Miguel would have liked you," she said softly. "He would have trusted you with us. And I think—" She looked at Sophia, who was running toward them with Titan. "I think it's time we stopped just surviving and started living again. All of us. Together." Sophia crashed into them, wrapping her arms around both of them. "Does this mean Mr. Marcus is staying? Like staying?" "Yeah, sweetheart," Marcus said, hugging her back. "I'm staying." "Good." Sophia grinned up at him. "Because Titan likes having you around, and so do I. And Mommy, she really, really likes having you around." "Sophia!" Elena laughed, blushing. "What? It's true." They stood there on the beach, the widow, the orphan, the warrior, and the loyal dog. And for the first time in longer than any of them could remember, they felt safe. Not because the danger was gone, not because the threats had ended, but because they'd found something stronger than fear. They'd found each other. 3 months after that, Marcus and Elena were married in a small ceremony in Redwood Shores. The whole town came out. Sheriff Navarro officiated. Isaiah was the best man. Jed the fisherman gave Elena away. And Sophia, wearing her favorite yellow dress, was the flower girl with Titan as her escort. Mara Chen covered the ceremony for the Redwood Shores Chronicle. Her article began, "In a town that nearly tore itself apart, 3 people and a dog stitched it back together through courage, sacrifice, and refusing to quit when quitting would have been easier." The article ended. Sometimes heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they're just ordinary people who make extraordinary promises and keep them. Marcus framed that article. Hung it on the wall of their home, the house that Elena and Miguel had built, now shared with Marcus and Sophia and Titan. The house that had seen violence, but would now see love. The house that had known tragedy, but would now know healing. Every morning, Marcus woke up with Elena beside him, and Sophia's laughter drifting through the halls. Every evening he sat on the porch with Titan at his feet, watching the sun set over the ocean. And every night he tucked Sophia into bed, listening to her prayers that always ended the same way. "Thank you, God, for sending Mr. Marcus to save us. And please keep protecting him so he can keep protecting us." 1 year after the nightmare began, Marcus stood in that same house holding his and Elena's newborn daughter. Sophia was peering at her baby sister with wonder, gently touching her tiny hand. "What should we name her?" Elena asked, exhausted but glowing. Hope, Marcus said without hesitation. Her name should be Hope. Because that's what this family had given him. That's what this life had restored. Hope that good could triumph over evil. Hope that promises could be kept. Hope that even the most broken warrior could find his way home. Sophia looked up at him. Mr. Marcus, are you crying? Happy tears, sweetheart. Just happy tears. Good. Because we're happy too. All of us. Right, Titan? The dog's tail thumped against the floor in agreement. Marcus looked at his family, his wife, his daughters, his loyal companion, and realized something profound. He'd spent years fighting wars in distant lands, protecting people he'd never meet, serving causes larger than himself. And he'd lost himself in the process. But here in this small town on the edge of the continent, protecting this small family that had needed him most, he'd found himself again. He'd found his purpose. He'd found his peace. He'd found home. And when Sophia asked, as she did every night, "Promise you'll never leave us," Marcus could answer with absolute certainty. "I promise, forever and always." That's not just a pinky promise. That's a covenant. That's a vow. That's the rest of my life. Because some promises weren't meant to be broken. Some bonds weren't meant to be severed. And some families, the ones you fought for, bled for, nearly died. For those families became the reason you kept breathing, kept fighting, kept believing that tomorrow would be better than today. The war had ended. The battles were over. The threats had been neutralized. But the real victory wasn't defeating the syndicate, or stopping Volkov, or surviving the siege. The real victory was this moment, this family, this life built from the ashes of tragedy and trauma. This was what courage looked like after the fighting stopped. This was what sacrifice earned when the dust settled. This was what happened when good people refused to quit, refused to surrender, refused to let evil win. They survived. They healed. They loved. And they lived happily ever after, not because the world became safe, but because they'd learned that the greatest safety came not from the absence of danger, but from the presence of people willing to stand together against it, no matter the cost. Marcus Dawson had come to Redwood Shores to hide from his demons. Instead, he'd found angels worth protecting, and in protecting them, he'd saved himself. That was the real miracle. That was the real triumph. That was the truth every broken warrior needed to learn. Sometimes the greatest mission of your life isn't the one that makes headlines or earns medals. Sometimes it's the quiet daily act of keeping promises to the people who need you most. And Marcus would spend the rest of his life keeping those promises because that's what heroes do. Not the ones in movies or books, but the real ones. The ones who show up. The ones who stay. The ones who choose love over fear, courage over comfort, and family over everything else. In the end, that's all that really mattered. Not the battles won or the enemies defeated, but the lives protected, the promises kept, and the love that endured when everything else fell away. Marcus had finally found his war worth fighting, and he'd won it in the only way that truly mattered, by refusing to let the darkness win, by standing firm when others would have run, and by proving that sometimes, just sometimes, one good man with a loyal dog and an unbreakable promise could change everything. That was the story of Marcus Dawson, Elena Reyes, Sophia, and Titan. A story of courage, sacrifice, and redemption. A story that proved heroes don't need superpowers, they just need the will to protect what matters and the strength to never, ever give up. And they all lived that truth every single day for the rest of their lives.